Humans have had a close relationship with animals for thousands of years. Scientists agree the domestic dog has been a trusted pet for around 15,000 years. And cats became part of the household from 10,000 years ago. And now it's estimated there are at least 600 million pet cats in the world. Exotic pets have also been kept for thousands of years. It's well documented that the Egyptians kept baboons as pets, and exotic animals kept in the home feature in many ancient texts. In modern times, the keeping of exotic pets has increased. A staggering statistic is that there are more tigers in the US alone than there are in the wild. Animal owners truly believe they are playing a role in preserving the numbers of exotic animals. But on the other side of the debate, there are those who believe it is a cruel practice to keep any animals in captivity. This series explores the issues from both sides, from those who know the dangers, but see the benefits, to others who condemn the keeping of exotic pets. Their stories follow. The entire perimeter of this rural Nevada property is surrounded by 10-foot chain fences topped with barbed wire, making it seem more like a prison compound than a family home. But Scott and Susanna, the couple who live there, aren't worried about possible burglars. They're more concerned about protecting the public from their unusual and potentially deadly pets. Their 10-acre property is home to a variety of exotic creatures, including tigers, lions, wolves, and other predators that many would consider too dangerous to keep at home.
You don't eliminate the danger. What you do is you mitigate the risk.
When it comes to safely keeping predators as pets, the more familiar the animal is with their handlers, the safer the interaction is.
Oh, I know. Oh, look at that way.
Susanna is clearly very comfortable with her feline companion, and although the lioness is obviously unsettled by the presence of our camera crew, she shows no sign of threatening behavior towards her keeper.
Yeah, that's my girl. That's my girl. Yes, I know. She can knock me down. Ah, don't kick me. You scared of that?
When Scott first met his partner, Susanna, she already owned some unusual pets, including reptiles and big cats.
How did I get this? I met Susanna. I was actually a defense contractor working at the Air Force Base. And when I met her, she was downsizing. She had 2 tigers and 5 dogs. And 1 or 2 that could have been considered wolf dogs.
Even though she is trained in business and economics, Susanna spent most of her life being hands-on with animals, starting as a child riding horses in Eastern Europe. She has been keeping reptiles and dogs since the early 1980s and big cats since the mid-90s.
Shortly after I met her, I found out she had tigers, and it was a case of, would like to go see my tigers. I was like, oh, okay, we'll go to the zoo, and she has some that she treats as her own. And what does she do? She hands me a milk bottle and go here, give her a bottle of milk, and I was milk feeding her.
At first, Scott was understandably apprehensive about meeting Susanna's bigger cats, but he quickly became familiar with the unique requirements of owning exotic pets.
To me, they're like extra large dogs, but they do weigh 400 pounds, 500 pounds, 600 pounds. And you got to take that into account. When we get animals, we start right away when we get them, no matter if they're 3 weeks old or 6 months old, training them on a leash, teaching them that no, they don't jump on us. No, we're not a play toy. We're here for love and affection and, to move you around. But, we're not going to roughhouse with you and play. We'll give you all the toys you need, give you the playmates or give you the entertainment you need, but not with us.
You know who feeds you. Yes, you know.
Those playmates generally come from the local dog rescue and act as companions and teachers to the exotic animals.
Actually, some of the dogs we got are wilder than the tigers because they're actually born in the wild. And a rescue group picks them up and we've rehomed some of them. And they've ended up with either tiger or liger. And part of the reason we do it is, well, first we do it at young, but it gives them a companion, gives them a playmate, and they learn from the dog how to play, because the dog won't allow the rough tiger play, so it tones the tiger down a little bit. My worst animal bite was from 2 dogs fighting, and I was breaking it up, and I got in between, and I got bit instead. They have disagreements usually at feeding time, who gets the biggest piece. You'll see that, dogs do that together anyway. And they're very respectful of each other, and the dog is usually the boss.
And it's not just the dogs that come from rescue situations. Some of the animals here have been surrendered by private owners who learned the hard way that keeping an exotic pet is not at all like keeping a domestic dog or cat.
It's a lot of work, a lot of dedication. I know it's not for everybody. It's something you got to put a lot of thought in if you go into it. But if you want it, you got to be prepared to deal with a lot of issues. It's not just, I have this animal and it looks great. No, you have this animal and you got to take care of it because they're completely dependent on you.
Scott and Susanna are well aware that taking care of their animals' welfare is a full-time job.
You don't do something like this just because it's a cool thing to do. It's not like I can take 2 weeks off and go to the beach somewhere. No, I got to worry about them being fed, being watered, being clean, veterinary care for any reason. I'm always sore. There's always something to do. Every day's different. It depends on the time of year. In the winter, because the property is so vast and we have to have water to all the animals. If we have freezing temperatures, check to see if water hoses are broken, if water manifolds are broken. Make sure that animals haven't destroyed something. It's never dull, I can tell you that. We've taken in a lot of animals and we just take them in like you take an animal from the shelter. It just needed a new home and we treat them like a pet.
In fact, Scott and Susanna even take the unusual step of making sure their pets get enough exercise by walking their big cats on leash. It's a practice that most pet owners are very familiar with. But when the animal you're leading weighs between 300 and 600 pounds and is capable of killing you within seconds, it's a risky activity. And when your predator pet is weary of a camera crew, it's a practice that could be life-threatening.
And he's the one that came from Las Vegas Zoo. Yeah. He's an attention hog. He wants to be on camera everywhere. And he's the only one we don't leash walk because they were hands off with him, so he doesn't know what a correction is. And he's just perfectly happy, and he's really easy to move because he'll just follow me anywhere. So I'm gonna put a transport cage up to his enclosure, and he'll walk right in for me. Yeah, you really hate it here, huh, buddy?
The relationship between human and pet takes on life-changing importance when the animals you're dealing with are highly effective predators With claws sharp enough to sever blood vessels, teeth that can rip through flesh and sinew, and jaws strong enough to crush bones.
Certain people don't want us to have these animals. It's so special that, or so dangerous, I shouldn't have it. Well, are you going to take away my chainsaw too? Because it's so dangerous, I shouldn't have it? I understand some of the stuff on the animal welfare issue, but that should be for any animal. Don't have one standard for exotic animals and a different for your dog or house cat. It should run across the gamut. Making one animal more special than the other, to me, is wrong. They all should be treated well.
American Humane is an organization dedicated to protecting the welfare of animals. Their focus is on the care of captive exotics more than on the debate over whether or not they should be kept in captivity.
I am not okay with people who take on private exotics that haven't give a lot of thought to what it's going to entail long term, because eventually they're going to run into a problem with resources, with care, with land, with security, and unless you have given a lot of thought to that, you're just not in a position to own an exotic like a tiger. The problem is, with a lot of people here in the US, you have some money, you have some means, you have some curiosity, and you think, I'll take on a tiger and see what happens. But it's not a good deal for the tiger, and sometimes it's not a good deal for the person.
Even those highly experienced with keeping dangerous exotic animals agree that it is not for everybody.
The thing is, can you get a tiger? Yes. Can you get a Ferrari? Yes. Is it for everybody? No. A Ferrari is not a good family car. I don't think a tiger is necessarily a good family pet.
Never. No. And, this is someone who loves the animal, loves the species. In fact, my favorite animal, and I get asked this a lot, it's not a dog, it's a cheetah. So if I could own a big cat, it'd be great. But like for most who own tigers in the US, it's a novelty. They shouldn't own them. They don't deserve that privilege of ownership with these animals. I don't think it's thought through in a lot of cases. No, even with my experience, my expertise, 20 years as a vet, I would not own a tiger.
There are an estimated 10,000 big cats living in captivity in the United States. The majority are privately owned, and in many jurisdictions, people can keep a big cat on the property without reporting it to local officials or even to their neighbors.
People think, you have a tiger, what if it gets out? Well, the fact is, especially with tigers, or any big cat, if they've gotten out, nothing's happened. There's no record of any big cat attacking, much less killing, anybody off the property. It's always on the property, on their territory. More of a case of you, as a person not used to being around tigers, would not know how to react properly if a tiger charged at you. Versus me, is I know what to do, I can break it off in 2 seconds. You will turn and run, and all of a sudden, you have a tiger crawling up your back.
Animal attacks often occur when people react in a way that the animal doesn't understand or simply hasn't seen before.
Like with the wolves, part of their greeting is mouthing. And they'll just come up, put their mouth on your arm. They're not biting down or anything, but if it was anybody else that doesn't know that, they'll yank their arm away, and all of a sudden they got mauled by a wolf, and when the wolf had no intention of doing that.
Animals put in unfamiliar situations are often more afraid of humans than we are of them, and that's when an encounter can become deadly. In other cases, owners are teaching their pets bad habits.
And a lot of it comes from not knowing what they're doing. And some people just do the wrong things in raising them. I remember seeing one video of one guy that used to play tug of war with his tiger at feeding time, play tug of war. Well, his daughter ended up putting her arm in the enclosure, and the tiger did what it was trained to do, played tug of war. And it's instances like that where, the injuries and deaths come along. And the people being injured are the handlers, owners, or people in and around the big cats. And it's very simple. It's sort of like, if you don't want to die by skydiving, don't go skydiving. If you don't want to be injured by a big cat, don't go where the big cats are.
So just why are Scott and Susanna willing to go where the big cats are?
For the love of the animal. There's nothing like it when they come up and seek a reassurance from you. Something makes it nervous. It's like, is it okay? Yeah, yes, it's okay. Yeah, you can go do it. About 95% of what I do it for is for the animal, whichever animal it may be. Some animals are more affectionate to others. You build a stronger relationship with certain ones. The ones you raise from 3 weeks old or the one that you get 4 months old. It's just how the relationship develops.
Australia is made up of 2/3 of desert. It's a harsh place for any animal to survive. This one has adapted perfectly to its environment. The dingo is a carnivore that was introduced from Asia around 5,000 years ago. And it has thrived in Australia ever since. A subspecies of the wolf, they can be seen as a pest by farmers and are known to kill livestock. But can they be a good pet? Dave Graham recognizes the dangers, but has chosen one as his companion. While it's rare to see a pure white dingo, what makes this one even more unusual is that the owner has fallen in love with her.
Do I consider Alice a pet or a best mate? I think she's like my girlfriend. I can't be without her, and I don't think she can be without me. She owes me, she controls me, oh my God. We have some arguments, but she always wins, and she runs the household. She runs everything that we do.
Dave is a farmer and a qualified animal behaviorist from Queensland. And from his experience working with dogs, he totally understands the genetic makeup of the dingo.
A dingo is quite literally a dog that has gone back into a wolf-like state. When they first came to Australia, they went straight back into the bush and have become that wolf-like creature with the 5 elements that all the dogs that we now have been bred out from. Dingoes have everything. They track, that's sniffing out their prey. They stalk their prey, which is where we've now got all of our herding breeds come from. They chase down their prey, which of course is our hunting dogs that we now have. They consume, rip apart their prey. And then of course, they also have that social aspect. They do work together. They really do work in packs. Using their paws, using their teeth, really rip anything apart, and they can get right inside, get the exact part of the animal that they want to eat with the amazing dexterity that these guys have.
Farmers have blamed dingoes for causing large amounts of damage to livestock. As a farmer, Dave has witnessed some of the damage done to his sheep by wild dogs.
When you grow up in the outback on the inside of the dingo fence, you have a difficult relationship with wild dogs. So my entire life, I've always seen wild dogs as an enemy because I've seen the damage that they've done on our livestock, on my sheep. There were some nights that they would come in and take out 90-odd sheep, but not kill them, just rip them apart. And my job, of course, was to come through and put them down in a humane way. And that was always difficult for me to appreciate the beauty of the dingo in the bush, but also the damage that they can bring to our farms.
The dingo fence, the world's longest fence, originally built in the 1880s as a rabbit-proof fence, was converted in the 1940s into a dog barrier to protect sheep and cattle from dingoes. Over 5,000 kilometers long and spread across 3 states, it has been partly successful in stopping dingoes from crossing the border and killing livestock. The dingoes that managed to get through were often shot by farmers as they were considered pests. So how does anyone consider this a safe pet?
It's been a long journey for me to appreciate how beautiful and how valuable dingoes are to our bush, but I I'm under absolutely no delusion whatsoever that wild dogs and vulnerable animals mean lots of blood.
There is a contradiction. In his farming life, Dave had to destroy wild dogs that were killing his livestock. Alice was the one dingo that stole his heart.
Alice was found about 3.5 years ago. I was on the inside of the dingo fence in the outback of New South Wales, where wild dogs are exterminated. A farmer came across a litter of pups in a den, and as he was putting them all down, after he'd already put the mother down, of course, one of these offsiders, who was a contractor from the city, said, "No, I really want to keep the white one." So he did, and took it back to the city and learned very, very quickly that dingoes are not dogs. You have to be extraordinarily skilled, and you have to have extreme management plans, and also very, very, very good fences to be able to keep a dingo in, because they are wanderers and they don't require human interaction. And that's what allows these relationships to flourish.
In a well-managed situation, it is possible to have an incredible relationship with a dingo, as Dave has with Alice, together with an appreciation of the role of the dingo in the ecology of Australia.
Look, she has 100% trust with me. Yeah, our whole relationship is built on a mutual trust. She knows I won't drop her or hurt her, but it's her favourite thing. Hold her upside down and she's happy. She'll be there for hours, but just loves it. But all dingoes love it. Anyone that has a dingo, that's what you do. You hold them upside down and then they're happy.
Mark, from the Armadale Reptile Center, looks after 2 dingoes, Kai and Jay, who were both previously kept as pets. When the owners discovered how much maintenance was required to keep them, Mark agreed to take the dingoes into his care.
This is the great problem with a lot of people with pets. They don't think about it first. They go by feelings, not by their head. You can't just buy them on a whim. They're not like pups. Pups will fit in. They're very, very forgiving. Dingoes aren't really forgiving.
Mark has had to work with the dingoes to gain acceptance from them. In particular, the older dingo, Kai, who is the alpha male, took longer to accept him.
I've had Kai growl at me to start off with. Eventually he accepted me, but I couldn't go near Kai. Jay was fine. He was younger though, he's a little pup. That's the way he acted. But the other one backed off and he growled a little. And when they growl, you stand back. Unless they're humanised, they'll keep away from people. But in areas like Fraser Island where people feed them, they get used to it. And if you don't feed them, they'll attack you.
Fraser Island is a heritage area situated off the coast of Queensland, which has a population of protected dingoes. The public are giving guidelines to be dingo safe while on the island, for very good reason. There have been many cases of people being bitten by dingoes on Fraser Island, including a 9-year-old boy who was fatally attacked in 2001.
Look, what I try and do with Alice is educate people that you need to be respectful of any wild animal in its environment. It's king, and you have to respect it. Don't go near them, don't feed them, don't do anything except for appreciate that they are doing their job by existing in the bush as Australia's apex predator. When you start to feed a wild animal, it's going to start to lose the fear, and then as soon as it loses fear, well, then it's going to look for food when you're not supplying it, and you may come into conflict.
Alice is an albino dingo, and it must be remembered that at her core, she is a pure blood, and there is always a risk that the wolf within could come to the fore, something that Dave never forgets when he takes her into the public domain.
They are predators. There's no two ways about it. They develop their wild instincts as well. One of the ways they show they're being alpha is height. They like to get up above you, looking down on you. You notice our fences are 6 foot high and they angle back into the enclosure. That's so they can't climb out, because they can climb a 6 foot fence. They're a wolf. Anything that gets in their enclosure is food. Doesn't matter what it is. A rat runs through or something like that, they'll eat it. A bird flies low, they'll catch it. A young child could upset one and it could snap, and they do have very powerful jaws. They'll kill very quickly. You can't stop that.
While attacks on humans are relatively uncommon, one of the most well-known dingo attacks occurred in 1980 near Uluru, Central Australia. Lindy Chamberlain, mother of 9-week-old baby girl Azaria, was convicted of her murder. The Chamberlains maintained their baby was taken from their tent by a dingo, and in 1986, following the discovery of Azaria's jacket near a dingo lair, Lindy Chamberlain was immediately released from prison. In 2012, following years of speculation and inquiries, the coroner concluded that the cause of Azaria's death was as a result of being attacked and taken by a dingo.
When you ask people, instantly they think of Lindy Chamberlain, the terrible death of her daughter by the jaws of a dingo. So that's prevalent in people's minds, but I think we do have a love affair with dingoes because they're just so strange, so distant, and so rare. I mean, you would be hard-pressed to find too many Australians that have seen a real dingo in the wild because they naturally just blend into the environment. That's the job, and that's why for hundreds of years of white settlement, and of course the thousands of years that they've been here during Aboriginal settlement, they have just inserted themselves into the ecology. But at the same time, these guys are using those jaws every single day to get through life. And when you need to eat to survive, it brings you up against humans because we're growing animals out there, sheep, cattle, goats, pigs, and of course these guys are hunting in that same territory. So we do really have a love-hate relationship in Australia.
Alice has a natural tendency to investigate her surroundings, a trait that's typical of a dingo. She uses her highly tuned senses to great effect around the house. One of the things that makes dingoes different from dogs is that dingoes love to climb. They're up on top of everything, into everything. It doesn't matter how small the surface is. They need to check it out thoroughly and know what's going on in their environment.
Yeah, she loves getting up on top of things, but it's really this super investigation and this crazy brain that just needs to know exactly what's going on. They always look like they're chilled, but I think it's because, well, they've got a lot to think about that they've just investigated, and they're just going through all their different TV shows that they've got inside their head of all the different adventures they've been on.
One could be easily mistaken after seeing Alice's relationship with Dave, that dingoes make an ideal pet. The reality is that Alice is a wild animal, and by her very nature is a predator.
Are we ready? You're being very good sport. I love my dingo, but they do not make good pets. They are a wild animal that belongs in the wild. It's just that at the moment I belong to Alice. They don't bark, which seems great, but they do everything else that could possibly drive you crazy. They shed continuously. Everything gets covered in dingo hair. They get into everything, and of course trying to contain them is almost impossible, but at the end of the day, they don't need us. They don't need to be looked after us, and when you've got several hundred breeds of dog to choose from, I'd stick with dogs.
It's clear that dingoes are a high-maintenance animal, and anyone who tries to domesticate one will have limited success. Dave, who has a license to keep Alice, has worked with dingoes for many years and knows what's involved to keep Alice under control for her own safety and the safety of others.
It doesn't matter where I am, Alice will always be tethered to me or tethered to one of my domestic dogs. It's just a case of if she feels that she needs to run off on a trail, she will run off on a trail after a rabbit or after a rat, and she's gone. So I've got to make sure that she is absolutely safe at all times. At the end of the day, she is magnificent. She's an incredible, loving, adorable friend who, she's just so sweet. But you've got to always remember, she's a wild animal. And not that she could turn in any second, not that she's unpredictable, but she is predictable. She will fight to survive. And that's what they've been doing in this country for 5,000 to 8,000 years. So it's not that I don't trust her, it's that I do trust her, that one day she could bite and could really do some serious damage.
68% of American households own at least one pet, and many are choosing to own animals that could be considered exotic. The legal definition is subject to local jurisdiction, but generally an exotic pet is one that is rare, unusual, or a wild animal, not typically kept by humans. Often, that's because those animals can be deadly.
It's better to be bitten by an angry snake than a hungry snake, because the hungry snake won't let go for a while. But they're very popular and should not be kept around small children, because the small children are edible.
More than 20 years ago, Ken Foose opened a reptile and exotic specialty store. And it's the type of store that is getting harder to find in the U.S. The animals he sells range from those that can just give you a nasty bite to those that can kill in a matter of minutes.
This is our second largest selling animal. You would think us being a reptile store, it would be all reptiles, but this is a pygmy hedgehog. They're very popular. We sell hundreds of these, and I wouldn't own one if you gave it to me. But we sell a lot of them. It's basically an animated rock.
Regulations around owning exotic pets are different in every state of the U.S. In Nevada, pretty much anything goes.
There's not a lot that we can't have. I mean, I can have a tiger in here for sale. Why would I? I'm not qualified to own a tiger. Most of the people I know are not qualified to own a tiger. It's the same thing with primates. We can sell monkeys here. We can sell chimpanzees. We can sell anything we want. But 99% of the people on this planet are not qualified to own a monkey, period. And I sold monkeys for 5 years, and I just got tired of looking for that 1%.
Foose's biggest selling pet may not look frightening, but as a carnivore, it certainly can bite. It can also be dangerous to the environment, and that's why it's illegal to own one across the border in California. You can own a snake, a tiger, or even a bear, but you can't own a ferret. Many of Ken's customers are committing an offense when taking their new furry pets across the state line from Nevada. But Ken is very careful that he doesn't break the law when selling animals, including ferrets. He even plays a role in lobbying government to ensure that regulations surrounding the keeping of exotic and dangerous pets are relevant for both animals and owners.
My biggest concern with keeping dangerous reptiles and amphibians, I'm talking about rattlesnakes, large constrictors like him, or something that is potentially life-threatening. If someone comes in here and buys a rattlesnake from me, I, of course, quiz them. How are you doing this? Where do you live? I ask them where you live, because in the county, they're not going to let you have one. In the city of Las Vegas, you're required to have a permit. And I wrote the regulations for the permit. If you live down the street and you said you were qualified to keep a rattlesnake, I'll sell it to you. And if you die, or your wife dies, or your kids die, or your dog dies because of the snake, I don't care. I mean, your choice, I don't care. If the 3-year-old girl living 3 doors down in her backyard gets bit by the snake because it escaped from your house, that I care about. And the reason is, people die from hamster bites. People die from all kinds of animals.
And when you accept the risk that comes with owning an exotic animal, you've accepted the risk. Animal ownership laws and regulations are constantly changing, and Ken's whole team are passionate about supporting animal owners' rights.
They went from, we were able to keep any size snake really, to, okay, well now you can keep a snake that's typically under 12 feet. but you need to have this permit and this, and the permit's the same as where you would own a sloth or hi buddy, or anything bigger that requires bigger space. I have to sit there and notify every one of my neighbors. I have to measure from my front door to the edge of my street, from the back door to the edge of the street, the back door to my fence line. It's just government overreach, wanting to know everything that you keep in your house and why you're keeping it. And it's something that we fight for. I mean, all of us that are passionate fight for it and come together and try to make sure that those laws don't pass.
Staff member Georgia has 48 reptiles, including several ball pythons, a reticulated python, a couple of boas, some iguanas, some red-footed tortoises, a water monitor, and that's not all.
9 ferrets, the genet, 5 dogs, 3 cats, and a bunch of rats.
Like many exotic pet owners, Georgia's life would be turned upside down by more restrictive animal laws.
I think I would do my best to move because I wouldn't want to give up. That's like my thing. That's, you know, I love them all, so I would leave.
As fun as ferrets may be, they'd be easy prey for many of the other animals in Ken Foos's store. Though Nevada has strict ideas about which snakes locals are allowed to keep as pets. Only venomous snakes native to Nevada and rear-fanged snakes are allowed to be kept in the state. There are 2 types of venomous snake. Those that inject venom through fangs in the front of their mouths, like rattlesnakes or cobras, and those with fangs at the back of their mouths. They chew the venom into their prey. And then there are the snakes that can literally squeeze the life out of you.
All right.
Kim, what are you pulling out here?
This is a tiger reticulated python. It's about 15 feet long. Air gas grabbed the other end of this. My back won't handle this. They do very well in captivity. Like I said, the only real downside to them is they get too big. If a snake like this bites you, you're gonna know it, and you'll bleed. They're not deadly. They won't kill you, but they'll hurt you a little bit.
And snakes aren't the only creatures in store with a venomous bite.
This is a beaded lizard. They come from Mexico and Central America. They are venomous. They've got these venom glands in their lower jaw, and they don't have fangs, but they have very, very sharp, jagged teeth. They're actually really easy to keep, and they're generally pretty mellow. But it's also the excitement. You've got a beaded lizard. They, there's something romantic about having one.
Beaded lizards can grow to 3.5 feet long and are related to the Gila monster. They're the only 2 venomous lizards in the world and can deliver an extremely painful bite.
And they just tend not to let go. They will hang on to you forever. There is no anti-venom for this. They won't kill you. Years ago, we had someone break into one of the cages and stole one of our beaded lizards. And it was a baby. It was about 4 inches long. And he put it in his pocket. As he reached into the cage to grab it, he got bit. And then when he put it in his pocket, he got bit again. And ended up going to the hospital. So he recovered. He made a full recovery, and in fact came into the store about a year later and stole something else from us. But we caught him that time. But they're very, very cool, and people like them because they're a novelty. They're different. They're not lethal. It's not an animal that can kill you. It's almost like the throats. Same thing. There's a lot of people that keep rattlesnakes and cobras and things like that. And I think it's just the novelty of it. People that just really like venomous reptiles. I can understand it. I don't own any myself, but I used to. And there's kind of a thrill there, and they're very, very neat.
And it's not just venomous reptiles that people consider exciting pets. Arachnids, better known as scorpions and spiders, are also a popular, if not unusual, companion. Nothing elicits as much fear in so many as the spider. Yet, Exotic Pets staff member Gaz has been fascinated with them from a young age.
I was about 8 years old, and my first pet was 2 leopard gecko lizards. And then after that, it was a tarantula, a rose hare. Yeah, so they were my first kind of pets. And then, like, my mum didn't like snakes. So I got a corn snake from a friend of mine, and I had to keep it hidden. I had it hidden for a year before my mum found out.
The largest of the spiders, tarantulas, may appear deadly, but their venom won't kill you. That's not to say that their large fangs won't cause some damage, or that their venom is completely harmless.
You know, there's certain species of tarantulas that it's not recommended to handle. Like some of the old world species, like the Poecilotheria. You know, they're, you know, from like India, Sri Lanka, those areas. They've got a pretty potent venom. It's going to make you feel pretty rough for a few days if you get bitten by one of those. That's a Goliath 30, and now they are very big fangs, and very aggressive, so it's really not recommended to hold those guys.
Large fangs and potent venom aren't a tarantula's only means of inflicting pain on their human owners. As a defense mechanism against larger predators, many species of tarantulas flick tiny hairs off their abdomen. These hairs can irritate the eyes, nose, and even the lungs.
So this is a New World species, so they've got these urticating hairs, which is their first line of defense, is to flick these hairs. So they're a little bit docile, you know, so they're not prone to bite. Their first line of defense is to flick hairs, so I wonder if it'll do it. See how he's rubbing his back legs now against his abdomen? That flicks up these hairs. So he's a bit of a hair flicker, but usually his species is not too bad. Oh yeah, they've got fangs, and you know, they've got venom, just like all spiders.
There are more than 1,700 different types of scorpion, though only about 20 of them have venom powerful enough to kill a person. The most dangerous scorpion, the Indian red, could kill you within 24 hours.
Yeah, I mean, just a few weeks ago I was stung by an emperor and an Asian. I was just being foolish, you know. But yeah, they're actually a really easygoing.
Don't threaten them, and they do pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, the things with these, you want to be more worried about their pinch than the sting. Their pinch is really hard and they don't let go.
They'll make you bleed.
Yeah, they'll make you bleed, man. It's real hard. But their sting, like I said, I got stung by them. Once again, it was like a wasp sting. You know, a little bit of irritation for about 30 minutes, and that's it.
As long as you don't, because that's a big stinger. See the stinger in there? It's like a nail going into your hand.
And it's not just teeth and fangs you have to watch out for. Many of the animals Ken sells can hurt you in more than one way.
There's a risk to anything. I mean, it's like I said before, it doesn't matter whether it's a hamster. There's always an inherent risk. Of course, we would tell people this is a rear fang snake, be careful. But beyond that, this is another animal that could never hurt you. The venom is not strong enough to do more than like localized swelling. The snakes, the animals that I have in here, quite frankly, that hurt you the most are things like these. Claws. It's the teeth and the jaws and the claws. These are not from snake bites. These are from these animals' toenails. Now these, the key thing here, there we go. The key thing with these things is you control the legs. And that way you don't bleed. This is what I call tame. When they first came in, there's no way I could hold them like this. I would be bleeding all over the place. I've never seen one try to bite, but they rip you to pieces with these very sharp claws.
So many of the animals in Ken's store have bites that can rip skin or inject venom, or claws that can draw blood. Why would anyone want to own them?
They're just such cool animals, you know. It's just you know, I've always found them fascinating. From the tiniest of little, like, common house spiders, you know. It's just beautiful. They're just fascinating animals, man. I've always been fascinated by them.
It's the thrill. It's why do people race cars or hang glide? Everybody has their own adrenaline fix and that they've chosen, and this is a lot of people, this is it.
And for as long as there is a demand for exotic pets, Ken Foose and his team will continue to fight for the rights of animal owners to keep them.
Not everyone should keep a lizard, not everyone should keep a dog or a cat or even a mouse.
Why would anyone have the big python or have this or have that? And I'm like, People jump out of perfectly good airplanes every day. Why? Are you going to ban skydiving? And a lot of these legislators say they're trying to protect us from ourselves. Well, if you're going to protect us from ourselves, ban smoking, or ban drinking, or ban skydiving, or car racing, or football. There's a lot of stuff we do to hurt ourselves, and we do it on purpose. So it makes absolutely no sense to ban something that actually as benign as this.
Humans have had a close relationship with animals for thousands of years. Scientists agree the domestic dog has been a trusted pet for around 15,000 years. And cats became part of the household from 10,000 years ago. And now it's estimated there are at least 600 million pet cats in the world. Exotic pets have also been kept for thousands of years. It's well documented that the Egyptians kept baboons as pets, and exotic animals kept in the home feature in many ancient texts. In modern times, the keeping of exotic pets has increased. A staggering statistic is that there are more tigers in the U.S. alone than there are in the wild. Animal owners truly believe they are playing a role in preserving the numbers of exotic animals. But on the other side of the debate, there are those who believe it is a cruel practice to keep any animals in captivity. This series explores the issues from both sides, from those who know the dangers, but see the benefits, to others who condemn the keeping of exotic pets. Their stories follow.
There are 48 animals that we had to put down. Those animals included 1 wolf, 6 black bears, 2 grizzly bears, 9 male lions, 8 lionesses, 1 baboon, 3 mountain lions, and 18 tigers.
I remember it all happening on a Wednesday evening at about 10 till 7 is when I received the first phone call. We became international news by the next morning.
It was just a disaster waiting to happen.
Zanesville is a sleepy town in Muskingum County, Ohio, with a population of just over 25,000 people. Until 2011, Zanesville was best known for its Y Bridge and many beautiful parks. It's one of the last places in the world you would expect to find an exotic pet owner with so many animals. But on one fateful day, the worst example of exotic pet ownership brought Zanesville to the attention of the world.
Zanesville's a very small, agricultural, very family-oriented community. Everybody knows everybody, and everybody knows what everybody's doing. It's a small town.
One of these small town residents was lifelong inhabitant Terry Thompson, a decorated Vietnam War veteran whose main role had been as a machine gunner on a Huey helicopter. His wife, Marion, was an avid horse rider and a local school teacher. Many locals knew the Thompsons kept exotic animals, but Terry was better known as the man who flew a light plane under the Y Bridge. A notorious hoarder whose property was scattered with old cars and a dangerous mix of guns and wild exotic animals. Terry had drawn attention to himself many times over the years with his unusual behavior. Local police sergeant Todd Knavel has vivid recollections of Terry Thompson.
We had dealt with him off and on. He had just been released from prison just a few days before this incident on a firearms charge. We had dealt with him in the past also about the animals, just checking on their welfare and the safety of the public as far as the containment systems that he provided them and such. He had several animals then, 70 some, I believe. He had tigers, he had lions, he had black bears, he had grizzly bears. He had different apes. One time he had camels, numerous horses. There was just animals everywhere. In the garage, there was a couple of tiger cages. There was a bedroom where a mountain lion, I think, lived. There was monkeys in the basement in a cage. Yeah, Terry was different. Terry always kind of pushed the envelope, but Terry was Terry. He was never really disrespectful to me or anything. I was always concerned that either Terry or Marion would be attacked by the animals. I realized they had a good rapport with the animals, but they're still wild animals, and something would trigger them. I figured maybe someday we would go up there and find one of them severely injured or killed.
The sergeant's fear was realized on the evening of October 18, 2011. Terry's notoriety was about to extend beyond the small community of Zanesville. As the day drew to a close, it is believed that he cut open the cages of more than 50 of his wild animals, setting them free before taking his own life. Senator Troy Balderson was born and bred in Zanesville and had been a member of the Ohio House of Representatives since 2009. This incident was a trigger for him to amend the legislation surrounding exotic pet ownership in Ohio.
About a mile down the road that evening, there was a tournament soccer game going on. There could have been a lot of tragedy, and there wasn't. For the most part, no one was injured. That was one of the biggest accomplishments that I feel that came out of the situation.
The next thing I saw this black figure. It turned out it was a bear.
Sam Kopchak is a retired school teacher and lived next door to Terry. That evening, he was out in his own yard attending his own horse, Red, when he saw Terry's horses acting strangely.
I saw the horses that were over there. There's probably about 60 horses I estimate that they had. They were going around a circle. And I said, well, they're not supposed to do that. Something's going on, you know.
Then Sam saw something even more out of the ordinary.
I actually got Red up there by the corner. We walked down through here, and I just felt like something was looking at me, and I kind of turned to the left, and big male African lion, he came down. This is about the spot he was sitting. He just sat down right there, and just kind of, you know, like that. And I just kept on going, and I never looked back till I got down to the white fence with my barn. And then after I was down by my barn, he was pacing back and forth on the fence. As you can see, this is like a 7-strand, not a barbed wire, just a smooth wire. And if he wanted to leap over that, he was big enough that he could have leaped over that fence.
What Sam soon realized was that the lion was just the beginning of what was about to unfold.
So I actually saw like 6 animals. The original bear, and then the lion, the male lion, and the female lion, and another bear, and the wolf went by, and the tigers.
Sheriff's office.
Yeah, I think I just seen one. It looked like a jaguar or a wolf or something. It was everywhere.
I received a call that some of the animals were out. We weren't sure to the extent of the situation, but I was requested to come to the scene. When we arrived, we were advised by one of the patrol sergeants that he had been up in the compound area looking for Terry or Marion and had seen a body laying out in a field. That was our first priority, determine who it was and if they were injured or deceased. We were first approached by, I believe it was 2 tigers come out of a barn towards us, and as they rushed the truck, we were forced to dispatch them. Then we arrived in the area of where the body was, and it was quite apparent whoever it was deceased. There was a white tiger chewing on him. About that time, we were advised that there was 2 cats ready to exit the compound area on the south side of the property. So we had to go over there and dispatch those animals. I didn't know how many were out, but once we got up there, I had made contact with the sheriff that appeared that everything had been turned loose. And I mean, there was bears, there's tigers, there's lions running everywhere. It was a huge concern because it was later in the evening, you know, if it got dark, the only thing securing that property is just a regular barbed wire fence like you would have for cattle or whatever. You know, these animals would have easily cleared that, and in a short time they'd have been in populated areas and injuring, you know, humans. There was some that had escaped the perimeter, but we had set up officers along the perimeter to contain that. I discussed with the sheriff what our situation was. There was no other option except to dispatch the animals. We started engaging the animals at different distances. Some were shot 30 to 50, 70 yards away, but then it came to where we had to go to the barn areas and that because they were in there. And yeah, we had one lioness come at us. We ended up having to shoot her, and she was stopped probably 3 feet from us when she finally went down. Most of us had AR-15s shooting the .223 round. I was concerned that maybe there wasn't enough power, but after we engaged a few animals and saw that, you know, the rifle was doing its job, then I felt a little better that, you know, we could be safe. It was a coordinated effort to try to keep everything safe and contained.
Sam became an unwitting bystander to a grisly scene.
I saw the deputies pull in, and my first thing was, well, there's going to take more than 2 deputies to take care of this, because if all those animals are out. And I saw a truck, and there was several, probably 4 deputies on the back with their guns, and they drove back there. And within a few minutes, I could hear shooting. It just sounded like a big fireworks display. It just kept on. It seemed like it went on forever. I saw them going across the field, just like hunters, you know, with a gap between them with their guns. 49 animals that they killed, and 1 missing, and 6 that were in the house. So it's 56 total animals that were there.
It was quickly determined that it would have been impossible to control all these wild animals using tranquilizers. And the decision to use live ammunition undoubtedly saved human lives.
To the best of my knowledge, there was 1 tiger left, and the veterinarian there, I think her name was Wolf, she went over and got a perfect shot with a tranquilizer, hitting perfectly where she wanted to. I mean, she, I guess, made the determination how much to give him, you know, how big he was. And he was in the weeds and so forth, and he come immediately charging out of there, and if the deputies weren't there, he'd have probably got her. They had to shoot it.
When it comes down to a situation like that, I realize you know, the animals have rights, but humans have more. And you couldn't justify risking human life for the animals. They had to be somewhat scared. They were out of their containment systems, running loose. You just didn't know how they were going to react. You could kind of surmise that he had let them go. But it wasn't until, you know, the investigation was completed later, we were pretty much, we knew that's what had happened. You know, even if you'd found them in some of their containment systems, he cut the fences so that you couldn't recontain them. I'm glad it turned out that no one got hurt. To have that many animals loose, we were just very lucky that we caught it when we did. You're not ready for something like that. We had to deal with what we had to do, and that's why I think they've come out with legislation on this kind of practice. It's not feasible. Safety for the public or for the animals.
Immediately following the incident, Ohio ultimately banned the ownership of exotic animals and their transportation across state lines.
We don't want to see these animals lose their lives over something like this. They are wild. I mean, these animals are not domesticated. They are wild animals. That's what I kept trying to focus on. That's what I did focus on when we did this legislation. They're wild. We knew something needed to be done. The administration knew that something needed to be done, and we had to stand up and do the right thing for the state of Ohio. And that's what, I had to make that decision also. Challenging as I knew it was going to be. I knew there was going to be a lot of negative feedback from taking on a piece of legislation like this. Before I started doing this legislation, I did travel the state of Ohio and going to sanctuaries that, that's the challenging part. There were people that had sanctuaries that were doing it respectfully. You wanted to look at both sides of it, but you also had to take the responsibility to make the right judgment, to set the mind of we weren't going to do this. We weren't going to allow you to have wild animals without certain restrictions that you had to abide by. We had a facility at the Department of Ag that was built out there that took in the people that could not find places for their wild animals. They could take them to the Department of Ag. We stored them there until we could find some place to go. There are good places out there with facilities that are capable of handling these animals, and it's some place for these owners that can take their animals that they can still have a relationship with. They can still go visit, they can still go feed. I think that was important to a lot of them.
It's still there and always will be there, in your mind about it. I'm just so thankful that nobody got hurt, and it's terrible that he had to die. It's a very sad thing. All those animals are buried back there along the road where they buried them. They dug a big, put them all in there. You see, they laid them all. So that was the bad picture on the internet that made people irate, because all those animals, when you saw that scene, and the sheriff was very upset. They don't know who took those pictures, and they put them out. But but they had to lay them out so they would know they had them all. And the caretaker was the one, like I said, that was counting the heads and telling them, well, we do have them all or whatever with it. But that made it a terrible scene too, because you see all of them lying there, like that. So it wasn't too nice to see. But they're beautiful animals, and you hate to see them get killed. But if you got a choice between the animals and people, you got to save the people, and that's what they did.
Exotic pets take all shapes and forms, and often the owners have an incredible and very special bond with their animals. And this is undeniably the case with Lisa.
Oh, baby money.
You see this little itty-bitty baby. It's cute as can be. But that little itty-bitty baby is gonna tear you apart.
At no point should you ever feel complacent with a monkey you've never met before. This monkey was only after the owner's camera, but it's an intense reminder this is a wild animal.
If you buy a monkey, be prepared that you are gonna get attacked.
Lisa and Mugwai have been friends for 24 years, a commitment that's incredibly rewarding, but also very demanding. Unless you're an educated monkey owner, you're in for a disaster.
Every single monkey bites, and it's gonna bite you, no matter what you do. So, a monkey has to be tamed, and then it can be trained. So it's a process that you have to go through. And it takes a lot of taming to become a good monkey.
When you have a good monkey, it's easy to make new friends. But if your monkey is a little wild, it may bite strangers. Many vets will only examine a monkey when it's sedated to avoid any unwelcome wounds.
When these animals hit 6 years old and start going through puberty, they can become wild, vicious, dangerous animals. The training that they've often learned, the domestication they've learned at that early age, that pretty much goes out the window, and you are dealing with literally a whole different animal.
Monkeys frequent the tourist circuit in Thailand, and they may seem super cute, but you always need to keep your guard up and pay attention to what may become aggressive behavior. Don't be deceived by their so-called friendly antics. These monkeys are wild.
A lot of these animals carry diseases that are communicable to people. They're called zoonotic diseases. And a zoonotic disease is any disease that can be transferred from pet or animal to person. And some of the diseases are quite serious. Non-human primates carry herpes and monkeypox and Ebola. So, again, if you don't know what you're doing, sanitation, care, so forth, then that's something that you can take on, or a family member or a friend who's visiting, because the disease is now spread around your home. You have to step back and look at all that's involved, do your research and education, depending on the pet and what's involved. The take-home here is never should it be taken lightly, owning an exotic pet, regardless of the size or the species.
We still have monkeys in the United States that are carrying disease. Probably only a third out of the 40,000 monkeys out there and growing each and every day, they are not vaccinated. We've been vaccinating these monkeys for years and years and years. And we do a serology test to screen everything that imaginable that they could possibly have.
This isn't a pet for someone keen on owning a low-maintenance animal. Monkeys can be a handful.
She's very calm though. She'll sit and she'll watch a movie with you, have some popcorn. She doesn't get into a lot of things. She used to when she was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So over the age of 12 to 13, then they really start to be a part of your life.
Capuchin monkeys reach maturity around 5 years, at which point their personality can become even more demanding and potentially aggressive. If you're the prime carer, you really need a lot of training to make sure the relationship stays on track.
She is 8 pounds. So that 8 pounds coming at you full force, that's a lot of monkey there. Really, seriously, it's a lot of monkey. She's strong.
A monkey on the attack is a situation to be avoided at all costs. However, for Lisa, this inherent wild animal instinct saved her life.
They're very smart, yes. I was attacked. I came home from work and I was attacked in my garage and my monkeys saved my life. A man had grabbed me from behind. Inside my house, on the 2nd floor, they have their 2 monkey rooms. And if it wasn't for all 4 of them that came downstairs and attacked him, I probably wouldn't be alive today. All I gotta do is give her one sign, and it's she becomes the wild animal that everyone sees. I love her to pieces. We are 2 people that are inseparable.
Capuchins are most notably renowned as pets of organ grinders, and were in fact introduced as exotic pets from their home territories of Central and Northern South America. These mischievous rascals certainly kept the audience entertained. Plus, they had the ability to carry a cup around to collect money. From this, their popularity grew for those wanting an unusual pet.
There's pros and cons where exotic pets are concerned, because our biggest problem is the caretakers and owners that own them don't have the education that they need.
Lisa has trained around 3,000 to 4,000 monkeys, often referred to as the monkey whisperer. Lisa is the go-to person if your monkey is misbehaving.
When I take her to train other monkeys, she helps. You know, it's great for the other monkeys to see that they can actually be loved, that they can be touched without being hurt. Or, you know, the mistakes that these owners make by using gloves and using weapons and the shock collars and things like that. I mean, it's still going on today.
Owning a monkey is a commitment for up to 30 years or more. While capuchins are the most intelligent of the New World monkeys, in the human world, they are like toddlers.
But that's how naive these people are. They think that they're humans and they can treat them as humans. But they're wild animals. They have to have a habitat. Not a little tiny bird cage, a habitat. So they can be free. They can jump, they can climb, they have things to do all the time. Muggy's surrounded by so many. You know, they need their own kind to be able to communicate, to socialize, to groom each other. That is a healthy animal in captivity. I have a huge facility. A lot of people have come to my door and dropped their monkeys off. A lot of them came that way, and all the monkeys that are there have either been injured, they've been rescued, or they've been dropped off. You have to be a very experienced person to have a primate. It's a huge responsibility. I do believe that any of the larger monkeys should not be kept as, quote, pets. But I do not call them pets, I call them companions.
These devoted companions may need a lot of ongoing training, but just like humans, they are always capable of a little monkey business.
I studied animals. I studied monkeys, their data, the brain waves, their anatomy. And because they're so human, you open her up, she's just like me. You know, so it's so beautiful, a creature that can do anything that we can do. I mean, she started my van, and her and Madeline ran it into my house in the garage. So this is how smart they really are. You know, you cannot turn your back.
Mugwai may be a troublemaker at times, but she also knows when to be well-behaved, especially when there's the opportunity to go toy shopping for her birthday. But first, a quick sketch as a thank you gift. After all, Muggy is a very polite little monkey and doesn't want to turn up to any event empty-handed.
Her name is Mugwai.
Mugwai. Hi, Mugwai. Happy birthday.
She'll be 24.
Oh,
24, that's amazing.
What?
This is for you. She painted it.
Oh, are you kidding me? That is awesome.
Outstanding.
Oh, nice.
Thank you.
That is really cool.
Ron may not have a monkey in his store every day, but he's certainly keen to help Muggy find the best present she's ever had.
Yeah, we're good.
Let's go shopping.
You like that one?
No interest in that one.
No? Okay.
When it comes to shopping, Muggy is a girl who knows what she wants and certainly loves all the attention.
Hey!
You wanna check it out?
Come here. Come here.
Oh,
aw, look at the little princess in her chair. Look at her. Look how cute. You got a chair.
You ready? Come on.
Let's go.
All right. You have something like this.
Try as she might, Muggy's not listening to Ron's sales pitch for these toys.
Up. Let's go.
Up, up. All right. Right here, it's like a little Jeep Wrangler. What do you think, sweetie?
Oh my goodness.
Looks like Ron has finally ticked all the boxes.
Back up. Ding, 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 ding. Ready? Let's go. 1, 2, 3.
Are you a thrill seeker?
Thrill Seeker Yellow doesn't seem to hold as much appeal. However, the scooter looks like fun.
Okay, hang on.
Got a good grip of us?
Ready? You gotta steer.
After all that adventure, it's time for a quick pit stop.
Nerds are your favorite?
Oh.
What do you think of those, baby?
Her ultimate favorite candy.
Oh, perfect.
Oh yeah.
The texture and the
Yeah.
creation and everything. I got a few more for you, Bubba.
There's a lot of controversy about owning a monkey. Not all monkeys have a great reputation, and many certainly aren't as well behaved as Mugwai. But it seems the key is all about good parenting.
All right, sweetie, your total is $64.94. You see it right there? Yeah, that's gonna be for your new car, your new Jeep. What do you think about that? You gonna be a journey girl? You can go on journeys with Mama? All right.
Here.
She's like, yeah. Yum yums?
It comes down to how well they are taken care of, and that is the big picture. I get judged every single day. But what it comes down to, when they lose control of that monkey, who do they call? You can call me names, you can say whatever you want to say, but at the end, you're going to be begging for my help, you know? And am I going to turn that person away because they were crappy to me? No, I'm going to help them because it does not matter. I don't care about them. I care about those animals. That's what really matters to me.
The Greater Wynnewood Exotic Animal Park in Oklahoma hosts some of the country's most interesting big cats and is home to star personality Joe Exotic.
Originally, I was born in Kansas, grew up in Wyoming, moved to Texas, was there 16 years, and ended up here when my brother got killed in 1997. We built this facility as a memorial to him because his dream was to go to Africa. I've been doing this 32 years now. Started actually almost 16 years before I moved here. And that's what me and my brother had, was an exotic pet store. And that was where I got my first lion, 16 years before we started it. I have built myself my own prison because you can't leave here. I went to Walmart 3 years ago, came back and one of my staff members lost an arm.
911, what's your emergency? Hey, this is Bobby at the GW Zoo. I need a helicopter. I've got an employee that was attacked by a tiger, and he's hurt bad. Is it care flight, I guess? We have aerovac here. Okay. We'll have them head that way, okay? Okay, thank you. You're welcome.
That's something that I never, ever want to see again. So I've never left here since.
It's a potentially fatal attraction, but Joe's captivation with predatory animals has persisted.
Animals has always been a fascination to me. I picked up sick animals when I was little and pretended I was a vet, nursed them back to health, so it's just kind of something I've been born with. The showman side. You know, it's just because I say what most people are thinking, and they're too scared to say it, and I have fun. Anything I do, you can give me a bowl of Cheerios and a glass of milk, and I can motorboat around that bowl all day long. Entertaining, I love to entertain.
'Cause I saw Tiger.
Joe's love of entertaining has led him to pursue many careers in the spotlight, which have seen him adopt the stage name of Joe Exotic. Most recently, he's combined his passion for exotic animals with his successful country music career.
Singing is kind of an escape from reality to me, and I can write songs about how I feel, the way people act, misery, happiness, and that's just something that I use for an escape.
I'm pumping iron.
Sure, he's a little eccentric, but he does have ambition. In 2016, he ran for president against Donald Trump.
I laid in bed one day during the presidential election, and, common people like you and I never get heard. That's a fact. You can vote all day long. You can send a letter. You'll never get a response, and if you do, it's a form letter. So I laid in bed one night, and I was like, how in the hell do I ever have a voice? Woke up the next morning, filled out my federal papers, signed up to run for president, and I learned more in 11 months of running for president of the United States than I did in 12 years of high school. So we gave him a run for the money. People are like, you lost. I didn't lose anything. 100 million people know who I am. I got my voice out there. I got my opinions out there. I think we won a lot. Give your money away.
Joe's first love, however, has and always will be his animals.
The first time I rescued a tiger, and I still have her. She's 27 years old. That was my first real connection, and when you help something, there's a much different connection there than if you buy something and try and make it a pet. Taking unwanted abused animals, I have a whole lot more sense of being able to work with them. I'm like their savior, and they know that. We are here to educate the world, entertain people, and take care of animals. I don't like the word sanctuary. We're a zoo. We're open to the public. We buy, sell, breed, take in unwanted animals. You know, there's everything here. We have 450 plus animals. We have everything from Michael Jackson's alligators to Steve Martin's chimpanzees to just John Doe's tiger out of his backyard. We have a diverse family of animals of all kinds and people of all kinds. People ask me every day, well, you know, how do you train these tigers? I don't train my tigers. I walk among my tigers. And if they want to be petted, we pet. If they want to be loved on, we love. If they're laying over in the shade or the sun and they have their ears back and they just want to be left alone, they're left alone.
The American Veterinary Medical Foundation states that once in captivity, no wild or exotic animal species should be re-released into the environment. For many of Joe's animals, his zoo is their final home, and he believes this is the safest place for them.
The only safe place for an animal in the United States is in a cage, in a zoo, or somebody's yard that can properly care for them. Unfortunately, society in today's world won't allow even a rehabilitated animal to be turned back loose in the wild. We just had a bear in Oklahoma a couple months ago, a wild bear, come up on a lady's porch in town. I said, what do? They kill it. You know, they hunt it down and kill it because it come into town. And this is the most important thing that I hope anybody gets out of anything that I'm saying is animals in the wild have no rights, none whatsoever. We trash our oceans. We build cities in our wetlands and our mountains. We took away their habitat. But if you properly care for and you don't take away from the wild, I believe any animal that's bred in captivity, you have a right to own it as long as you take care of it.
While animals like the black bear are native to the States, other animals such as lions and tigers have been imported, making their care and welfare once they arrive a hot topic. The placing of exotic animals in wildlife sanctuaries and the motivation behind doing so is a highly contentious issue.
The federal government of the United States, and this is what we're working on right now, has tigers and lions on our Federal Endangered Species Act. Okay, our Endangered Species Act was designed in 1972 to protect native species of our lands. Tigers, lions, kinkajous, orangutans have no business on our endangered species list. Okay, but put them on our endangered species list, what that has done is, you know, private citizens are not allowed to possess, own, breed, interstate commerce, which means sell across state lines or anything like that. 2 months ago, you saw online that there's too many tigers in America. A month later, we put them on the Federal Endangered Species list. In the meantime, they ship a circus tiger in from Peru to America and 13 lions from another country. Somebody's got to make up their damn mind. Have we got too many in America? Do they belong on the endangered species list in America? And why are we shipping them in? Because it makes good rescue stories. We rescued a tiger from Peru, and we need to raise $33,000 to care for this damn thing. And they euthanized it 6 months later because the money train ran out.
As yet, there's no central database or requirements for exotic animal owners to record and report on the disposal of animal bodies. The recommendation is for the bodies to be cremated to ensure animal parts don't find their way onto the black market. Between 2000 and 2004, more than $100 million was made from the sale of wild animal imports, making it a lucrative business. Ever one to speak his mind, Joe considers it's the money rather than the care and protection of animals that drives many sanctuary owners in the U.S. It is a controversial opinion, and whether he is right or not is yet to be determined.
There's 2,800 registered tigers in America. There's less than 3,000 in the wild. Every sanctuary in this country is the same one. It has nothing to do with helping animals. All you have to do is take the board of directors' names and pull up their tax records of what property they own. And I'll guarantee you every one of them lives in over an $800,000 house. This ain't about animals. This is about money. Understand this. If you raise money for animals at a particular nonprofit facility, it better be spent for them animals. See, here in America, you have to be licensed by the United States Department of Agriculture and be inspected to make sure that you're taking care of everything right and following protocols and vet care and all that stuff. Only if you're open to the public. Now, if you're a sanctuary that doesn't exhibit and you're closed to the public, God only knows what's going on behind them walls. Okay, and see, that's another problem with most of these sanctuaries and these organizations is they want animals in sanctuaries with no contact. How would you like to be thrown in jail and never touched or never loved on?
As much as Joe loves his animals, they remain at heart wild and unpredictable creatures. Some of Joe's most dangerous residents are his bears, and he knows all too well the potential risk of keeping these unpredictable animals in close proximity to humans.
I've not had good encounters with bears. We actually have 4 grizzlies here and 3 black bears. They're just as personable as any other animal. Ozzy, who is our largest grizzly bear, will sit up and give you a high five and French kiss you and everything else. Ozzy came from Kansas, and back in the early 2000s when Kaylee Hildebrand was killed by a tiger getting her senior picture taken. Kansas panicked and passed some laws that made it illegal for private owners to have animals, and that's where Ozzy arrived to us from. Was a private owner who just had some exotic animals, and this bear loved that guy. And when he arrived here, he was probably 6 feet tall, standing up on his back 2 feet, and this guy walked him around the park just like it was a dog. He is 100% lovable as long as that fence is there. That is as much his security blanket as it is for our safety. I've been in with him. He's a 100% different bear. He weighs about 1,400 pounds. You know, during the summertime, they eat less, they lose a little bit of weight. During the wintertime, they eat more and they put it on. For a Syrian grizzly, he's pretty large. Bears are not as predictable as a lot of animals are, in my opinion. Bears is something that I've really never specialized in working with because they're just so moody. I had a black bear at one time that we raised called Little Bear, and she grew up in the gift shop years ago. And she got out of her enclosure one day and went back to the gift shop and decided to wreak havoc in the gift shop because she was playing. You know, everything on the shelves had to come off the shelves. And I put a harness on her and went to walk her out. And bears are much different than tigers. When they lay their ears down and they do that, you're gonna get bit.
Bears may be different to tigers, but that doesn't mean tigers pose any less of a threat to Joe and his team.
There's days they don't feel good. There's days they woke up in a bad mood.
Whatever. Go on, get it. Take your gun off.
Like I said, I've built myself my own prison. If people think that you do this because you're getting rich, they really need to come work here. You can't leave. I wouldn't change it for the world. I have a goal in my life, and that is to be somebody and accomplish something. And that's the way I was raised, and that's what I'm gonna do. I saw my brother killed at the age of 32 years old. I buried my first husband here at the age of 32 years old, and I'm gonna leave this world leaving my mark. I've dealt with so much death in my life, and life's too short to get tied at. So my personality is, I laugh all the time.
Humans have had a close relationship with animals for thousands of years. Scientists agree the domestic dog has been a trusted pet for around 15,000 years. And cats became part of the household from 10,000 years ago. And now it's estimated there are at least 600 million pet cats in the world. Exotic pets have also been kept for thousands of years. It's well documented that the Egyptians kept baboons as pets, and exotic animals kept in the home feature in many ancient texts. In modern times, the keeping of exotic pets has increased. A staggering statistic is that there are more tigers in the US alone than there are in the wild. Animal owners truly believe they are playing a role in preserving the numbers of exotic animals. But on the other side of the debate, there are those who believe it is a cruel practice to keep any animals in captivity. This series explores the issues from both sides, from those who know the dangers, but see the benefits, to others who condemn the keeping of exotic pets. Their stories follow. In Abney Park Cemetery, North London, there is an unusual gravesite, a sleeping lion, a memorial to Frank C. Bostock. Frank was a showman who toured with exotic animals throughout Europe. In 1893, he moved to America and connected the masses with these amazing creatures. He is credited as being the first person to bring a pet lion to the U.S. Frank was known to have been mauled several times, which is thought to have contributed to his early death in 1912 at the age of 46. Was this where the owning of great cats as pets began in the U.S. and continues to this day?
The Lion Week. And as you can see here, this little pet Squeaky the lion makes a wonderful house pet.
The danger factor is always there with these large feline pets, as this old clip shows. Watching it is a little unsettling, but it isn't enough to stop more and more people seeking the unusual as a pet.
Animals are family, and it doesn't matter if it's a tiny little house cat or, a lion or tiger or bear. You have that connection with animals regardless of size. When I was young, I used to think I could save the world. And I was always dragging home misfits, and I worked at a veterinary clinic for a while, and don't put the dog to sleep, I'll find him a home.
Jill Carnegie's passion to save animals has become her lifelong mission. But her focus is not just about rehoming the neighborhood dog. In the town of Sharon, Wisconsin, the Valley of the King Sanctuary is home to a large variety of exotic animals. Abused, abandoned, retired, and injured, these large pets aren't for the faint-hearted. And for Jill, having a rebellious streak has led her to this amazing work.
When I was a child, I was always dragging things home and getting into trouble. My mother hates animals. She's 96 years old. She's still alive. And we had many, many discussions about animals. And I ended up getting married young when I was 17 to basically get out of the house. And I married a guy because he had a horse, which is really stupid. But, and then we ended up here. I divorced him in 96 and then remarried Jim, who loves animals as much as I do. We've been married 20 years now.
Jill and Jim are dedicated to looking after the welfare of their animals. Sanctuaries are common in the U.S., so there's a need to rehome. In captivity, big cats have been known to attack humans with devastating results. This horrific scene is testament to what can go wrong. A man trying to feed a couple of circus animals finds out the hard way that a tiger is a predator and one that can strike at any time. The defense is a couple of wooden poles, but the man struggles to save his hand. From minor injuries to permanent disability and even death, it's never wise to assume a big cat is a tame animal, no matter where you might find it. In Jill's sanctuary, there's no crossing of the boundaries, even if one of their residents was once a family pet.
This is Janie. She's grumpy. She hasn't been here very long. She's from a lady in Texas who has cancer, and she couldn't care for her. She was a pet, and she actually adored the lady. She's still adjusting. It'll take her time. The interesting thing is I can come out and she's fine with me. I can give her treats and talk to her, and she rolls over, and I don't go in with her. I wouldn't trust her. She's actually a very sweet cat. She just doesn't like a lot of people. She feels threatened. And she's got to adjust living with a few girls down here, which she's not crazy about. So eventually she'll have a buddy when we get a male lion in. And then we do vasectomies because we don't believe in breeding. So she'll be happy. Callie? Hi, girl. This was someone's pet. They lived in Florida. She is about 17 years old, and she's been here ever since she's been about 5. She lived in their house till she was about 4 or 5 years old, and she had the run of their backyard. And then they had to move, and no place would allow them to have their lion. Hoopla, come on. Come on, there we go. What a good tiger. You're such a good tiger. He's one of the biggest tigers we have, but we have one that's even larger. And he's 17, so he's not a youngster by any stretch. But he's been here since he was 4 months old. He was somebody's pet in Big Bend, Wisconsin. They bought him illegally from a breeder in Arizona. And then they realized when he was about 4 months old that the furniture and the kids were not safe. And so they did the right thing and brought him out. And then they said, we will never get another exotic again. So thank God for that. He's probably at least, I would put him 1,100 pounds easily. Yeah, he's massive.
There is no doubt Kubla is one very large animal, and with that size comes a big appetite. Tigers rely primarily on sight and sound for hunting. They will see you long before you have any idea they've been sizing you up. A tiger can consume almost 100 pounds of meat at a time. Large prey are no barrier. Even if you've been working with your trained cats for decades, You can never trust a tiger. It only takes one shocking moment to change your life to near death, as this Spanish circus trainer found out during a performance. Kubla doesn't have to go on the prowl for anything but more affection. And with Jill around, that's a given.
He's an absolute love bug. He doesn't have a mean bone in his body. But you always have to remember that they're trained and never tamed. They are who they are, and even a good one can cause serious harm. So you just don't want to, especially the older I get, I guess I get smarter too. Yeah, we always take tons and tons of precautions, and in 44 years we've never had an injury, never had an escape, never had anything happen. Knock on wood. And everything that's come in as babies get huge like this, I think because we feed every day. We don't believe in fasting them, and they get an enormous amount of calcium and vitamins and absolutely everything that they need, where a lot of private people don't have a clue what the animals should get. We've gotten cougars in with rickets, others with broken bones, and just all kinds of horrible things. So a zoo will take ground meat, put it on a little platter, slide it under and take it away. So they don't have anything to chew on, and then maybe one day they'll give them bones so they can chew on a bone. But the zoo cats that we've gotten in have had slab fractures, really bad teeth that our vets have had to put back together again. These guys, ones that have come in when they're young that we've raised, even when they're senior citizens and we knock them out, their teeth are absolutely pristine because they get everything that they need, the hide, the bone, just everything. Plus they get supplements.
Jill feels right at home with these enormous cats. These are her adored pets. But when the need arose, she took a big step out of her comfort zone to start welcoming large Syrian grizzlies to the sanctuary.
So gentle, yeah. Which at first I was like, grizzly bears? I don't think so. And when I saw them and how gentle they were, I'm like, okay, this could be doable.
Jill's not at ease with these enormous bears, but is growing to like having them around. However, choosing to hang out with these massive predators inside the cage, knowing they're capable of suddenly turning on anyone, isn't a choice for most of us. Is this bravery or a death wish? Bears are aggressive. Camping in their territory is a risk to you and your property. And yet, many people have these same bears living in their homes. Deaths from bear attacks are rare in the U.S. On average, 3 people per year are taken, which makes the odds of being killed very small. But does this risk increase with more exposure? While Jill devotes her life to caring for her pets, there also comes that heartbreaking time when you need to say goodbye.
We hold the record for the oldest living feline in the world, and that was Sammy. He lived to be 36 years old, a purebred Sumatran tiger. And he was a little butterball the day we put him to sleep, sadly, but his hips gave out. So when the quality of life is gone, then it's time for them. We cremate all of our big cats and our other animals. That way no one can dig them up 100 years from now and get them. I'm like King Tut with the grave, so. And this is Huggy. This is the one that I have to put to sleep, and it's really killing me. He's an old man. He's in multiple organ failure. But it's his time. He's 22 years old. It's heartbreaking, even though you know it's the right thing to do, you know. This time next week, he'll probably be passed on to Rainbow Bridge. Yeah, but I'm gonna miss him. I will absolutely miss him terribly. It's really hard. I have a lot of favorites that are buried here. I had lost my son in 1998 in a car accident, and he's buried here, and this is where Jim and I will be buried as well, because we want to be with those we love. I don't want to be in a human cemetery. It just doesn't feel right. I love the elderly, and I love the misfits. That's really where my heart is. And when a cat is old and senile, they forget they eat. So you feed them, and 10 minutes later, they're like, hello, I didn't eat today. And you got to give them some more. And that goes on all day.
Jill is a seasoned conservationist. Her motivation is about rescue.
It's so amazing. When they're rescued, they're completely different than one you've raised as a kid. They are so grateful. And the exotics are exactly the same way, because we loaded these animals up and they know they're going to a better place instantly.
This certainly is a better place with superior conditions than where these animals have come from. For Lena and her mate Thina, their lives have improved remarkably.
And we have a little crippled tiger here. This is one of my favorites. This is Lena. She came out of the same seizure in Indiana, and the SWAT team was there. They had all their long guns, and it was pretty scary. Here she comes. There she comes. And you can see her knees are really bad. Hi. The way she walks. Hi, little pumpkin. Hi, how are you? This cat and this other cat over here, they lived in circus roll crates. 6 foot by 4 foot, maybe 5 foot, their entire lives. They were in a dark barn, no light. We had to use bolt cutters to open all the locks because it had been ever since they were just prisoners in those little areas. When Lena came, she would sit and she could kind of paddle around like this on her feet, and then she'd do this, like stargazing. And now, as you can see, she can run and she can play. And our vet is amazed that she gets around as well as she did, because it was not expected at all. But she probably will never live to see old age because of her handicap. But for the time that we have with her, you know, we'll do anything and everything for her. But this owner that owned this cat, it was horrific. He was an older circus mentality kind of person, and then once a year he'd roll the wagons out for the neighborhood kids to see, and then roll them back into their dark barn. He would take a stick and just scoop the poop out, and all over the floor in there. It was awful. It's probably one of the worst seizures that we've ever been on. It was absolutely horrific. This is the other one that came with Lena, that lived in a circus roll crate. This is Thina. She was very young to begin with when we got her. She's about 18 months old. So she wasn't left in that condition. So like this one was for 6 years to become neurotic. But most of the neurotic behaviors is gone now, which is great. But she doesn't seem to have been scarred at all as far as, you know, being abused like that. She's really got a cute personality. She's very outgoing. She does have broken teeth from grabbing the bars where she lived. And she was really thin when she came. He's so sweet. But even though he's got hybrid in him, you can't trust them. They have a switch because they've got the wolf in them. But he's a very sweet boy. He loves his attention. He loves his cuddles. Yeah, you're a good boy. We lost his sister to cancer when she was 3. Hi, Milo. I think he's 8 or 9. And it's very interesting because we have a couple volunteers that he hates, and he will actually charge the fence to eat them. Yes, it's amazing. I mean, like, he knows you guys are all animal people. What a good boy.
Like many homes, there's often a need for renovations, and the Valley of the Kings Sanctuary is no different. Nestled on 10 acres of farmland, the sanctuary was established more than 30 years ago. And as more funding comes through, the better the conditions become for these majestic creatures.
If every sanctuary in America did not have big cats and was empty and they had a place to go, that would be my dream. I would tell you, if we could buy the property that surrounds us, I would give them, if we had the money, 2, 3, 4, 5 acre pens. That would be the ultimate. It'd be awesome. The interesting thing is when they come from an area that they have a small pen and you give them a larger pen, they're so happy and content with what they have because they've never had a large area. The one lion that was kept in a circus roll crate her entire life, we just moved her to the big area up in the compound, and she didn't know what to do. She would stay in the small area and she would kind of look around. She wouldn't play with her toys. She wouldn't roar or vocalize. And it took her about 2 weeks to figure out, okay, so I can go over here, and oh my gosh, I can go over there too, and oh, there's a toy, and now she's playing and acting like a normal animal. So it's kind of like you have to get inside of their heads to kind of rearrange their thinking that, okay, it's okay to have that much room.
Jill and her husband are very committed to ensuring their beautiful animals have a great second chance to a much improved life.
You come to the point you can't save them all. It's not humanly possible. But if everybody took care of their own backyard and did what they could, that the world would truly be a better place. So everyone who comes through our gates, we make a lifetime commitment to, and they're here forever through thick and thin and illness and whatever. And I know that the time that we need to let them go, that they had a good life for the time that they had with us.
Well, yeah, I get bitten every day. Well, probably not every day, but once a week. And that's because I breed pythons. I breed young snakes that are harmless. Pythons don't have any venom. Some snakes may be technically venomous, but not that bad. So I've had a few bites I don't count. If you get to the pointy end, I've had 4 intensive care visits. So 4 times the word's been a bit touch and go. Every time was something I did wrong, yes. And when you do something over and over, sometimes it's complacency sets in.
Just how close would you get to a snake? To feel the snake's body slithering against your skin. Even experienced snake handlers, like this one in Cyprus, who removed the snake from the neighbor's backyard, can run into a problem. Yes?
Yes. Start to jump because that's
The adrenaline factor is huge, but the consequences can make for a very bad day. However, when you're performing for a crowd, it's all about the showmanship.
This one here is a tiger snake and potentially very, very lethal if it bit you. Because this one's captive bred and it's used to me and I've never given it any reason to bite me. Snakes aren't designed just to bite for no reason. If it did, it would be, yeah, a bad day. It's potentially one of the most lethal land snakes in the world. He won't just bite you. This is the misconception. He doesn't want to bite you to get away. So often you won't get a warning. You'll hear a rustle in the bush and that's him already getting away. 80% of our hospitalised bites, people trying to catch and kill the snake. It's simple. People think they're dangerous and because they've got to deal with this dangerous animal and they deal with it by getting the shovel, trying to kill it, and then they realise how quick and agile these animals are when it's too late.
Australian Gary Davies has had a fascination with snakes since he was 5 years old. He knew he wanted to be a snake man. Over the years, he gathered a collection of the most venomous, including the tiger snake, king brown, and death adder. Add to that a few different species of pythons and lizards, and you've got a rather uncommon assortment of pets. For Gary, this passion for reptiles has led to a career working with snakes and educating the public. But quite frankly, it seems Gary prefers snakes to humans.
Look, honestly, what a man and his snake do in the privacy of their own snake shed is a different story. But in public, I don't go handling snakes in order like this. It's just to show you that they are not, you know, red-hot killers that are out to get us. Naturally, I'm not his prey. Tiger snakes are far from violent or aggressive animals. In fact, if you're going to learn snakes, tiger snakes and king browns are one of the most quietest, easily chilled snakes of the venomous snakes there are.
If you're new to snakes, perhaps starting with a couple of Australia's most venomous isn't for the beginner. They may be laid back and chilled out, but you don't want to be surprising them.
You keep within boundaries. I'm not doing anything to cause this snake to actually bite me. And he is close, getting close to full grown now. But it's not about size. Venom, it doesn't come down to size with venom. You know, you need a mil of venom. It doesn't matter how big the snake is. So it's not like, oh, he's too big to handle. No, that one there is, it's going to give you, you know, a bad day as bad as anything on the planet can, as far as venom, you know. I don't recommend it as a pet. If you want to like snakes, there's a whole lot of less toxic snakes, you know, safer snakes to keep. But if tiger snakes are your thing and you've got to that stage, then great, you know, I'm all for it. But I just don't suggest it for someone thinking about a pet snake. No, don't think of a tiger snake. Don't think of a venomous snake. I think keeping a venomous snake is something you evolve to and you get to rather than trying to aspire to.
If you're thinking a tiger snake might be off the pet list, after all, it is one of the top 3 most venomous land snakes in Australia, then you may be interested in the king brown. It comes in much lower on the danger scale, at around number 6.
This is a king brown. Particularly huge for a king brown.
Might not be able to hold up. But it is a venomous snake that's very, very active.
Yeah, he's going to be a lot more active. He wasn't captive bred. He was actually wild caught under license. But he has got used to me and that I don't hurt him, so he's in the process of calming down very well. But it is a process thing where this one I won't give the same sort of luxuries as I would that tiger snake. It's just understanding your own animal again. He can turn around and bite, but he's slowly learning since he's been caught that, oh, well, this guy's not too bad.
If you're a snake in captivity, you don't get to choose your owner. But Gary is a role model for responsible pet ownership.
For one, he's a reptile feeder, so he'll feed on other snakes. He's pretty good at catching and killing, overpowering even Death Adder's other venomous snakes. So I'd never keep him together with another snake, especially if he's hungry.
Great tip for the uninitiated. It pays to do your research. Snake ownership is serious business. There's a lot to learn in order to stay safe.
The king brown is the largest member of the black snake family, so he's not actually a brown snake. But because he's often brown in colour, they've called him the king brown. The other name is mulga snake, which is probably a better name. If you got bitten by this, you'd need black snake antivenom, not brown snake. They're very widespread, so they're found right throughout the whole of Australia, except for the very southeast and the very southwest. Now, a big one of these can push 3 metres, and that's probably the Kimberley forms. The ones in the Kimberley are the biggest. And you grab one of them by the tail in the wild, you know you've got a snake when he's 3 metres long. A snake that big and with the name King Brown, that's where he gets these reputation from. And everything that happens, people talk about, oh, do you hear about the King Brown? And these are stories that have been exaggerated because it sounds such an aggressive animal, it sounds so big. Yes, it's that perception of deadliness. It can be dangerous, but again, I think we carry the legends a lot more than the actual reality deserves. If they're not natural predators, they're going to bite out of fear. Now, you can break down that fear. They're not scared of you so much. There's no reason for them just to bite randomly.
Fear is quite possibly the #1 reason why you would be bitten. If you see a snake sliding through the bush or accidentally step on one, there's a really good chance you're going to panic and perhaps end up in the hospital. Even with all of Gary's experience, he's admitted to a few close calls.
I've been handling venomous snakes for well over 25 years. Anytime you get bitten, it's because you've crossed a line. You've been complacent. And hopefully that brings you down to earth and you see your mistake, or else you're just going to make it again. There's always an adrenaline rush when, like you said, you know it can go wrong in a second. You've got to be dead if you don't get adrenaline out of that. You hold a tiger snake like this, I mean, you've got to be dead if you don't get some sort of adrenaline rush. But that's not the right reason to keep them. To keep them for the beauty of the animal. You're working with these animals, you've got to have the understanding there's certain lines you don't cross. You've got to respect that potential risk. There has to be a knowledge of it and an understanding that if I make a mistake here, this is going to end badly for me. There's a hot zone. So while you're in that hot zone, when you're in a hot zone, that's where the potential is. You stay out of that and you're quite, you know, he's not lurking, waiting for you. Well, not if you're a good keeper. If you lose them around the house and they're just lurking somewhere you don't know, but a good keeper with snakes, he's got an enclosure where he lives and, you know when it's, you're in a dangerous position, and that's when you've got to be switched on.
Owning any pet that is considered a little unusual often comes with risks that can be fatal. But it can be an adventure for the seasoned, unusual pet lover.
You can potentially keep one as a pet, but you have to show the authorities, take the right steps before they deem that you're safe enough to keep one. I would never suggest anyone keeping king browns or tiger snakes unless they've kept snakes for a long time and they actually know quite a bit about venomous snakes. You can only really learn that by experience. But the adventure side is getting out there in the scrub and actually finding these animals, and that's my passion, finding king browns in the field, in the wild, and watching what they do. And that's where our learning comes from, you know. So I guess that's my passion, but everyone's different.
If you're convinced you're ready to proudly own a pet snake, then moving to a non-venomous variety is a great place to start. Although they can still be a bit of a handful. Meet Bob.
He's an older python. His name's Bob, but I've had him about 14 years from birth. He's been around people his whole life. He works with kids and in crowds, and often if I'm standing close to someone who's holding him, he will come over to me. And he doesn't love me. I have no doubt he doesn't love me and has an affection for me, but I'm a familiar scent to him, just like if he had a hollow log in the wild that's a familiar place. It's a familiar scent.
Bob is likely to reach a maximum length of 4.5 to 5 meters. But olive pythons have been known to get up to 6.5 meters or more. That's a lot of snake to keep your eye on.
Me and Bob, often there's things that happen around the house that people would think strange. I'm making a sandwich with him around my neck. Seems strange to some people, I guess. It's quite normal around my house. I guess sometimes people think of pets as something that you can cuddle and grab hold of. Now, to me, not necessarily true. You know, you don't have to pat an animal. You can still have a pet and just enjoy it for what it is. And I think that maybe that's a line that some people call some things a pet because they can cuddle it at night and give it a hug. Some animals don't necessarily want to be hugged. But does that make them not a pet? If you're looking after them, you keep an animal in captivity and you give it all its needs and you look after it and it's a healthy animal and you get enjoyment out of it, then to me that's a pet. You've got to have respect, and they can be dangerous, but there's so many things in this world that can be dangerous, you know? Some people get married, God, you know, that's danger there. You know, each to their own, really. Some people think that reptiles are easy, especially snakes, easy pets to keep, and I don't like that attitude, because you think you're going to get a pet because it's easy to keep, then that's probably the wrong reason to get them. They can be easy once you understand their needs, but sometimes their needs aren't as simple as people think. You know, a lot of people think, oh, you just keep them warm. Well, keeping them warm, you can kill them by overheating them. I do what I love. Since I was 5 years old, I loved snakes, so if I could turn my life into snakes, that's what I did. But again, it comes down to some people keep it just for their own ego, especially when it comes down to, well, predator pets or things that are potentially dangerous. Often the person's keeping it just to say, look at me, you know, and I think that's the wrong sort of person, and often they're the ones that make mistakes. And in this game, the problem becomes ours because someone keeps things for a wrong reason. If they get bitten by a tiger snake, they make the news. And there's knee-jerk reactions that come to the rest of the hobby. Everyone that keeps these animals has to get affected by the weakest few. So to me, I always believe that people, if they want to keep venomous snakes particularly, as long as they know what they're doing and they are doing it for the right reasons, not just to be tough or look at me, because that's just going to end wrong sooner or later.
People see these cats on Disney films, you know, oh, they all look all friendly and I want one of those. And what happens? They get one and oh dear, it attacks me. It's destroyed my house. Oh, I don't want it anymore. That's the pet side. But then a number of these private breeders are doing the job properly.
Dr. Terry Moore knows cats. In fact, he loves cats so much he has devoted his life to ensuring the survival of a wide number of species. But don't be fooled by the fact that Terry is in the enclosure with this Temix golden cat. These cats are quick and can attack. However, in the right hands, they can be mostly controlled.
And then there's the African golden cat, which is much more orange than this. Keeping cats in captivity, there's the pluses and the minuses. If they're doing it properly, and there are a lot of private breeders in this country that we work with, a lot of the private breeders work with zoos and are providing livestock for show in zoos so that people can come along and just understand why we need to protect them. But then you've got to differentiate between the people who look after the animals properly and the ones who just want them for status. You know, I've got this cat. Having one as a pet, I'm sorry, this isn't going to work because very few of these cats are friendly enough to be classed as a pet.
These cats are all in good hands at the Cat Survival Trust. While the trust is focused on long-term conservation of cats in the wild, this 12-acre property at Hertfordshire, England, is a haven for unwanted and surplus wild cats from zoos and other collections where cats have proven to be too much of a handful.
When I was studying at London University back in the 60s, I was actually working part of the time for my uncle's firm in aviation insurance to pay my way. And one day I went into Harrods and there was a South American margay for sale for £300. And I thought about this. I thought, that's a nice cat, and for the wrong reason, to have it as a pet. And I went away and got the money together, and 3 weeks later went back to buy it, but unfortunately Lady Fisher of Kilberton Wildlife Park beat me to it. But between 66, which is when I saw this cat, and 75, I accumulated so many books about wild cats and realized that, you know, there were 37 species of cat, not just your lions and tigers, but, you know, such amazing cats as pampas cat and Andean mountain cat and sand cat and Eremite cat and so on, which I'd never heard of. I mean, they weren't in the school curriculum. So I really got into this and felt, well, something ought to be done. And realised very quickly, after a few years, that sadly there wasn't a rescue operation in England to take surplus and unwanted cats. So a group of us got together, and in '75 we formed the charity, basically to look after unwanted and confiscated cats from illegal collections. He's getting a bit heavy to hold, and you've got to be careful when you're holding him. It's uncomfortable for him. The Eurasian lynx is an interesting one. The Scandinavian, there are about 2,000–3,000 left. The Central European are 200 or 300, and the Italian down to about 40. This is a Central European, so with 200 or 300 left is not good. He's only really friendly with 4 of us. We used to allow people in with him, but not anymore. He picks up on the slightest element of fear and get quite aggressive.
Working with these animals requires a lot of knowledge on what makes them tick.
We wanted to study cats in the wild. We wanted to find some ways of perhaps preserving cats in the wild, keeping them safe in the wild. We wanted to provide an educational service. The first 30 years were pretty difficult, although in '92 we did manage to buy 10,000 acres of virgin forest in northeast Argentina with 5 species of cat living free in their own environment. And in future we want to buy more natural habitat because keeping animals in their own environment is by far the most economic, most ethical way. And of course, to save cats, you've got to have that entire ecosystem intact. Any part of that food chain is out and the cats are going to die.
There is no doubt the work that Terry and his team of volunteers do is vital to the survival of many cat species. The jaguar is endangered, and the work at the Cat Survival Trust is about helping animals like Athena, affectionately known as Jags. But we all know looks can be deceiving.
Jaguars are only found in South and Central America. They're quite different from the leopards. They're much bigger, much chunkier, and much more dangerous. They'll take crocodiles out of the rivers and just crunch them. Give her a whole deer, and there is nothing left. I mean, she will eat the skull, the hooves, absolutely everything. I go in with all the cats here, with the exception of the jaguar and the amur leopards, because she was already an adult when she came. I didn't have the chance to build a relationship with her, and she wouldn't know her own strength. She'd want to play hard.
The unpredictability of a pet in captivity is never something to be ignored.
Out of all the cats we keep here, she's probably the most dangerous. Cats are potentially dangerous and not ideal as pets in any way.
Big cats have an enormous appeal as a pet, particularly when they're young. They are playful and often have many of the enduring characteristics of a domestic cat. However, when you think what a domestic cat can do to a small mouse, you'd have to be mindful that the time may come where you could end up being the big cat's human mouse to torment and tease until your last breath is taken. Perhaps these cats are far more spectacular in the wild than in your backyard. But for these cats to roam free, a lot of work needs to be done.
Keeping cats in captivity is a sort of stopgap. Let's face it, most of the wild places where you find cats are being wiped out. There's just too many humans. We need oil, we need minerals, we need metals, we're destroying the habitat. And so every species is seeing falling numbers every year. The way it's going, we could lose every single species, not out of cats, but everything else.
Research and breeding programs are vital to save these animals.
Zoos have played a major part in education, allowing people to understand why animals are important. There are some very good zoos who do a lot of conservation work. You know, they breed certain species in captivity and then release them back into the wild. For the good zoos that have lots of information, lots of placards and posters all about why we have to save animals, that's great. But I think what we have to do is look really seriously at the zoos that are underfunded, that aren't looking after the animals properly, and they should be closed. So the question is, in the future, so many of these cats that have many subspecies, how relevant is it to say, right, let's save all of the different subspecies? Pumas, they're originally, they thought to be 29 subspecies. So when you've got a species like the puma, what you find is that those that are living near the equator are much smaller. Those that are living away from the equator are much bigger and much chunkier, and their fur is much thicker. Sadly, because jaguar need much stronger enclosures, this is a much thicker wire than you would keep any of the other cats that we have in. Zoos can't generally afford to build a huge enclosure like this. with this extra cost added to the wire. She's now unfortunately too old to breed, and because the Jaguar stud book have said, look, if we breed a load, where are we going to put them? Because zoos can't afford to build this sort of enclosure anymore. So there is a restriction on breeding. Generally speaking, stud books are there to make sure that we don't get surpluses in official collections. And that's very sensible with the Jaguar, because there's a fair number left in the wild, although as they destroy more and more forest, we're losing habitat at such an amazing rate, and ultimately some of the subspecies could disappear.
Whether you're looking at these cats thinking, I want one as a lovable, purring pet, or if you feel you should get on board to help save many species of big cats, it's clear the survival of these incredible animals is up to the human race. We've hunted to the point of extinction. We've destroyed habitats, but we can still make a difference.
My number 2 is more than capable of taking over. We have a number of volunteers who potentially could take over in future times. And we're very lucky. We've had a lot of volunteers in the past who are emailing me quite frequently. Are we in a position to have them back? They don't need much money, they just need enough for food and clothing and bits and pieces. We're at a situation now where we know a number of our supporters have left quite substantial sums to the charity, not only to keep it going, but also to buy more natural habitat in countries around the world. So I feel pretty happy about the current situation with the Trust. We don't have any debt here. The property is effectively owned by the charity now. I don't have any fears in the future. Too many animal collections don't think ahead. And that is one problem with people who keep exotic cats as pets. What is going to happen when they die? What is going to happen when they can't look after them anymore? But with the huge number of people who keep private collections of all sorts of animals, they really need to think this through, because the only option is to put them down. And then what was the point of having them in the first place? People who keep these animals, a lot of them will have friends and relatives come and see the cats, will learn more about why the cat is endangered, and that will all help towards people in the future providing funding for new projects, particularly in the wild. And certainly we found by having cats here that when we bought our 10,000 acres of forest in Argentina, people were very happy to support it because they saw the cat and they saw why we wanted to save the cat in its own habitat.
Humans have had a close relationship with animals for thousands of years. Scientists agree the domestic dog has been a trusted pet for around 15,000 years. And cats became part of the household from 10,000 years ago. And now it's estimated there are at least 600 million pet cats in the world. Exotic pets have also been kept for thousands of years. It's well documented that the Egyptians kept baboons as pets, and exotic animals kept in the home feature in many ancient texts. In modern times, the keeping of exotic pets has increased. A staggering statistic is that there are more tigers in the US alone than there are in the wild. Animal owners truly believe they are playing a role in preserving the numbers of exotic animals. But on the other side of the debate, there are those who believe it is a cruel practice to keep any animals in captivity. This series explores the issues from both sides, from those who know the dangers, but see the benefits, to others who condemn the keeping of exotic pets. Their stories follow. Driving one of these big trucks is a woman who, if you met at a truck stop, you would see what you think is a tough but fairly normal person. But this truck driver is far from normal, but in a pleasant, caring way. Bonnie is an interstate truck driver, but when she gets home, her life is about her animals.
I rescued her. She had a broken leg when she was a puppy, and they were going to put her down, and I said, how much do you want? How much is the vet going to charge you to put her down? And he said, oh, $50. I said, well, I'll give you the $50 and take the dog.
Bonnie's ranch is far from ordinary. Let's start with the dogs.
I've had up to 50, but being that I'm driving truck all the time now, it's too much. 20 is a little much anyway. It's a lot of work. And I have a great guy that comes out here and works and helps me do stuff. You know, it gets monotonous. I mean, because, you know, you got some that when I'm gone stay in the house and they don't get out. So, you know, you have a mess to clean up. The guys, you know how guys are about doing that. But they do a pretty good job, I have to admit. But, because I got some really old girls in here that are in their, you know, 14, 15 years old. And they can't take this heat and they can't take the bad weather. So you just have to do what you got to do. He's the one that brought the bears home. This is Reno, and he is a giant schnauzer. This is not something that's happened just all of a sudden, trust me. I've been doing this, like I said, for many, many years. I don't think anybody could have enough dogs. I mean, dogs are your buddies.
That's the dogs, about a dozen of them. Next, exotic parrots.
You shut up. You shut up. What did I tell you about that, talking like that? Give Mama a kiss. You love Mama? Oh, I love you too. He's very intelligent. He can do all kinds of little things when he wants to, but getting him to do it's another story. It's like, you know, I don't have to, don't make me.
From there, it's horses, about 10 of them. And then an unlikely friend, a fully grown adult steer.
He's a very good pet. I probably could ride him if I wanted to, but he's a very good pet. Everybody thinks I ought to sell him, but I can't sell him. He's a pet. Shrek is a miniature mule. That's his mama right there.
Yes, that's a bear off in the distance, and its neighbors do eat a lot.
This is what the tigers eat. This is my so-called dispensary. They get chicken. This is what they're getting today. They're getting steaks, yum.
You heard right, tigers.
You have to try to give them variety. You have to give them chicken, you have to give them beef, pork, you give them horse meat. We do get deer in. This is the freezer for chicken. My people that work for me, so what I have them do is I have them take the chicken out and I make them look at the label for the weight and I tell them exactly how much I want fed every day. So for them to calibrate it, and then we have records that we keep on how much they eat, who didn't eat what today. Technically, USDA requires you to do that, but I do it on my own because if something happens, I can go to the vet and say, okay, this is what this tiger's done all week long, and he has a better frame of mind of what's happening. This is what the bears eat. This is the bear freezer. We have yogurts, we have butter, we have creams, rice pudding, a little bit of everything. Their favorite, ice cream.
If you're getting a feeling that this is Noah's Ark, you are right. Bonnie is a serious animal lover. Just think about what all those treats cost. Her 2 American black bears were accidental strays. The 750,000 black bears in America kill less than 1 person per year, and attacks in captivity are rare. But is Bonnie at risk with her bears? The answer to that is more about how they are looked after rather than whether or not they're dangerous. Contrast that with 26 deaths by dog attack each year, although there are millions of dogs in the U.S. alone.
This is Bam Bam and Pebbles. They're about 4 years old now. They came to me I have big black schnauzer he's a giant. They were following him, and I thought they were dogs, but they end up being bears. And once they got the bottle and realized what was going on, they became my pets. These are American black bears. Come on, show them how tall you are. Good boy, good boy. Come on, good girl. Oh, Mama, baby loves you. Mama loves you. I know. And these are my babies, and they've got really long claws, as you can tell, and they usually tear me up. There you go. Good girl. Pebbles, Bam Bam, stand up. Come on, come on. Good boy. Good boy. Hey, you're stealing them. Okay. They're stealing them. They're stealing them. Good boy. Yes, sir. Mama loves you. I love these bears. You can get in here and I can mess with them. Of course, you don't want to ever trust them because they show no sign that they're going to attack you. I have been bit, I've been clawed, I've been knocked down by them, and usually I carry a taser with me when I'm out here by myself so I can get up. And she's about as unpredictable as you can get. I've scared her and she's turned around and, I walked up on her too quiet and I've scared her and she came at me. But, it wasn't an attack. As soon as she realized it was me, she stopped. I can't express enough that these are wild animals and their mind can change at any moment. They can be killers in a matter of seconds if they wanted to. I have found with my experience with animals, exotics, domesticated, you feed them well, you take care of them well, you give them plenty to eat, they seem to be fine. When you start not feeding them and doing what you're not supposed to do, you hurt them, then they hurt you back. If you come at them aggressively, they're gonna come right back to you aggressively. Like if they're doing something and she's wanting to bite me, I just change her mind and go, no, it's okay. You turn the tables on them. And loud noises will scare them. There's times that, like I'm doing something and they're being nosy, if I don't want them around, I'll slap the side of the tank and they run. I'm not a bear expert and never claimed to be, but being with these, and these are my first challenge with them, I've learned a lot. It's been trial and error. I think they're doing good. I think I'm doing okay with them. Some people may say I'm not, but they seem happy to me, don't they, to you? They're very easy to take care of. I'm really surprised. I've offered them meat, I've offered them fish. I put 4 rolls of hay out there day before yesterday. Look how easy they mangled it. They go up in the trees, they get on them, they climb up on them. They get way up there. They come down to eat and to pick on me. Have you touched one? Come here. Bam, Bam. Come over here on this side, touch the butt.
These bears can be dangerous, but that is also part of their appeal. And this could be why predator pets are popular. The feeling of being with these animals is a mixture of fear and fascination.
I'm slightly worried now. Oh, he's licking me.
Oh, dinner. They're very strong. They can take a log and they can literally push it, move it wherever they want to. Oh, look at that. Is that good? When she comes in heat, she gets a little cantankerous and she can get pretty rough with him. But he doesn't show any aggression. He just does his own thing and gets in a different tree. Like a man, goes to a man cave. But this is my baby right here. This is my baby. Yeah. My main concern is keeping them where they're supposed to be, keeping them fed, and like I said again, as long as you feed them well, they're not going anywhere. And these guys here can't go back out in the wild because they don't know how to feed themselves. So basically they're mine until I die, and then when I'm dead, I have a sanctuary that's going to take them, and that will take them and the cats. So they already have a place to go. This way people won't have to say, well, she's an old woman, where are they going to go when she dies? Well, there is a place for them to go. And it's a wonderful place. And they will care for them like I care for them. Been there a zillion times to keep on different times and make sure how they take care of their animals, and I'm very impressed. I don't know how long they're going to live and how long I'm going to live, so there we go. They stand on the edge, and this is what happens to my $500 stock tank. Huh? More toys? Huh?
For our crew, bears are one thing, but Bonnie's apex pets require a little more respect. It is estimated that there are more tigers in the U.S. than in the wild globally. Bonnie's younger tiger was born in captivity, and to Bonnie, he is just a big playful cat.
She's, you know, just that playful teenager stage where everybody's a toy and everything we have is a toy. No, 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 gentle, gentle. You notice how she has not hurt the dog? He hasn't yelped or anything? What are you doing with the water? That's called chuffing. She goes, what was that? Don't run, don't run. No. Oh, are you okay?
The concern is what will happen when the big cat reaches maturity. Incidents of pet tigers killing people are rare, but we have to always remember they are an apex killer. So Bonnie, one way or the other, is taking a risk.
Ow.
You want a stick,
Bonnie? Bonnie, here's
No.
a stick. No, I got it. No, you stop. Now, come on.
Ooh.
Don't bite my leg.
Not just with one tiger, her second one is a fully grown female.
Well, she came to me 7 years ago. She had ringworm and a yeast infection all over her hair, and she was pretty poor, but now you can tell she's magnificent. She's healthy, you know. And she's not that she doesn't like that cat. She's just telling it to back off. But she's my baby, and I love her. Well, she weighs 450 pounds. I go in there and pet her, and I do clean the pen, do everything like I do with the regular, like I did with the other cat. But when people are here and the cameras, she gets bashful. So, and I think, you know, I mean, she's back here in the back. She don't get a lot of people here to socialize with her. If she had more people to socialize with her, she'd probably be all over us. But really, she's a very good cat. She's not mean. She's not aggressive. You know, when she's scared, you saw what she did. You know, she kind of growls a little bit, you know. But, I mean, that's just to show you to back off. You know, she's a tiger. Again, you know, don't feed her. She'll eat you. I've only been scared of one cat in my life. I was in the pen with two cats, and I was against the fence like this, and they double teamed me. One come here and one come here. They've never hurt me, but it is definitely a feeling that, you know, okay, this could be it. You know, but otherwise, no, I'm not afraid of them. I mean, I should be. I mean, I'm very let's put that a different way. I'm not scared of them, but I'm very cautious of them. You can't, I don't know how to explain this feeling, but I mean, I just don't have the fear of them, but I know they can kill me. I know they can hurt me. You know, I don't turn my back on them. I mean, I know what they are. I know that they can be an aggressive animal, and they can be friendly one day and be an idiot the next day. The thing is when you're feeding them meat, get out of the pen. Why do you want to be there? They're eating. If they're having a bad day, why irritate them? Leave them alone. Let them just go through their bad day. It's a sense you have with animals, you know. If you have that sense, your chances of getting hurt is minute, you know. But if you're bullying them or doing things and you don't pay attention, then you get hurt, and that's what usually happens with people. They're not for everybody, you know, and not everybody wants them. They're a big expense. They cost a lot of money every month to feed. It's not that they're a lot of work, but you have to take care of them. You have to know when something's wrong with them. But that's the whole idea of owning animals anyway, isn't it? Oh, come on, Nushka. Come on, Mama. Come on. Anushka. It comes from Alaska, and it means the first ray of light. So that's what I thought of. And then Sunita, the little one's name, is a Spanish name for beauty. But those are my children, as children go.
The American bison is an unpredictable and at times lazy and unconcerned animal. They appear peaceful, but this large mammal has a temperament that is totally unpredictable. Bison roam the plains of North America in their millions. Hunting decimated their population down to less than 1,000 animals. Today, things are looking up. The population is growing, and to one family, a pet bison is the perfect house companion, even if the house is a little A-frame cottage on the plains of Texas.
People that don't know me think I'm crazy, and the people that know me know I'm crazy. I've been here for 31 years. I've been training horses for a living, and I use buffalo or bison to train my horses with. Yeah, I was fascinated with them when I was a kid and never thought about even owning one. I don't think when I was young you could legally own a bison. They're a little on the crazy side, and most people that raise cattle don't want to mess with them because they tear your pens and stuff up. They're a lot wilder than a cow is, and they're harder to handle for most people, but if you know how to handle them, they're almost as easy to work as cattle are.
Sharon and RC are both extreme animal lovers.
We both have the fascination with bison. I'm not much for the little bitty dogs or anything like that. I like the wildlife. And that's one reason why RC and I, fit together, because we both like the wildlife. The more Western it is, the better we both like it. The first time I ever saw a bison, of course, was RC. I mean, in life, I've seen them on TV and all that, but first time was whenever RC brought some home to train his, cutting horses. After that, we decided to own Wild Thing, and he become our pet.
Keeping a bison as a pet does have its challenges. They can weigh up to 2,700 pounds and run at over 30 miles per hour, and they can get a little grumpy.
A lot of times you got to go in the pen with them, and you got to know your distance and everything, because if you get too close, they're going to come after you, or they're going to run away. And if they don't run away real quick, they're fixing to come and get you. They're the largest land animal in the United States that's native to the United States. They can outrun any horse. It's always dangerous being around a herd of bison because you don't know when one's going to attack you. And I have had them horn my horses and knock my horses all the way down on top of me. I've been in this situation a lot. One particular cow one time come after me, and if I hadn't had a jacket I threw it on top of her horns, and I got out of the pen while she was fighting the jacket. He got me down one time, 3 times in one day, and my wife had to dress me for 3 days.
Hello?
He knocked me down. He was wanting me to be a buffalo and play with him, but I got to an axe handle and explained to him we didn't do that.
RC counts Wild Thing as his pet and his companion on the ranch. This big bison is, at times, almost cute.
Wild Thing, of course, you know, I mean, he's a little orange calf, you know, whenever we get him. He's about 2.5, 3 months old. And, of course, RC's trying to halter train him and everything, and he conquers that. But then I have a brilliant idea, and I said, well, why don't we bring Wild Thing in the house? Hello, Wild Thing. And he says, you don't understand. He is a bison. He could tear up your house. You may not have nothing left. And I, well, you only live once. You bring your cats and your dogs and your kids in the house, so might as well. So ever since then, we've been bringing Wild Thing in the house, and he's grown up with us. He has lots of personality. Even though he's a bison, he's got personality. I mean, if he gets his feelings hurt, he goes and pouts. And you know when he pouts, because he just has that certain look in his face and the certain movements that he gives. Wild Thing also likes to be pushy sometimes, but then again, Wild Thing can be loving. Wild Thing! Hello, baby boy. But only to RC and I. Only the past 10 years, I've been able to actually touch him and groom him. I mean, I'm always out there taking pictures of him and different things like that. I can wear fringe and wear big headdresses that I make with feathers. RC, he can't wear fringe around him, not safely. So, you know, and I think it's because Wild Thing's used to RC being just a cowboy, and he's used to me being just out there, because, I mean, I'm always out there. So he never knows what to expect of me. But there's times that Wild Thing is sitting outside, relaxing, and I may kind of crawl in and lay close to him. I can't touch him, I can't lay up against him, because then he'll jump up. But I do lay in there with him, and then sometimes RC and I both will lay in there together. And I mean, you know, he can be, you know, seem real sweet, but he's not a, you know, sweet animal per se, you know. I mean, he is a very dangerous animal for others.
Well, I'm afraid he might tear up stuff, you know, if we brought him in. But when I brought him in, it was kind of odd because he behaved himself in here. And then pretty soon I was leaving the door open, and he'd come back and forth in the house. But he never used the bathroom in the house. If he'd ever used the bathroom in the house, this deal would have never happened. He potty trained himself. I do not have a clue how you could potty train a buffalo. Now that he's gotten big, we have to move coffee tables and couches around. It's like having a small car come through your house. He has a hard time getting his horns through the doors. We've had people eat with us before at their own risk, but it's not probably perfectly safe for them, although I'm willing to lay down my life to save theirs. When the grandkids come over, we have to put up fences, we have to put up everything in the house. We don't have to when Wild Thing comes down. I'd rather have the Wild Thing in the house than my grandkids most of the time. So far, he hadn't tore up anything. He's just been perfect in the house. He looks at everything. He's real curious about everything in the house, but he doesn't tear up anything. A lot of times, as soon as he walks out of the house, he'll knock my barbecue pit over, but it's outside. But in the house, he's a perfect gentleman. He's unpredictable. In the house, he's pretty predictable. Outside, he's really a crazy, wild, crazy animal outside. He's very dangerous for anybody else to be around. It's taken 10 years for Sharon to be able to go around them safely. And I still want to be there for her, because I will attack him. I can't win, but he thinks I can win. Always being the alpha, you got to be the alpha. You got to have enough courage to stand up to him, even though you know you can lose. I don't have a chance against him, but he thinks I can. Once I get him by the horns, he thinks I got him. It's a big bluff.
It is likely that Wild Thing is the only fully trained bison in the world. His skills go beyond wrecking the fences.
He pulls a chariot, plows a garden. He was her best man at her wedding. My boy's the first one to ski behind a buffalo on sand. And my daughter's the first one to snow sled behind a buffalo. He eats at the dining room table with us. Any crazy thing I can think of to do, I do it. He's the first one to ever pull a canoe.
There are times that Wild Thing seems to get what's going on, even at a big event like his owner's wedding.
I just thought it's something different to do. I didn't know anybody ever know about it but us, but I thought it was kind of cool to have a bison or buffalo as a best man.
Our minister, he knew us already, so...
He wasn't real comfortable, though.
No, he wasn't real comfortable, but he liked it. I mean, he thought it was neat, you know, and he only said only for us, not for everybody. Our wedding has been all over the world.
He was a good gentleman. He did throw the rings off his horns, though. I see him as a little baby. I don't see him as a big buffalo. He's a baby to me. He's not big to me because I've raised him, and he's still a baby to me.
Yeah. And when you look at his little face, it just looks so sweet. So you just fall in love with him, you know.
I have no fear of him at all, but I do know when not to mess with him. He's moody. There's sometimes I know that I better leave him alone.
There is no doubt that this is a dangerous animal. It could escape and cause a lot of trouble. But to date, Wild Thing has seldom wandered beyond his local street.
If he gets out, everybody just take pictures from their porch, but they know not to go around him.
Yeah.
He goes down the road about a quarter of a mile and fights a cedar tree. And I learned the first time I went down there, I better let him fight the cedar tree for a little while, because he'll come after me if I try to make him quit too soon.
Mm-hmm.
So I let him go ahead and fight it for a little while, then I'll put a rope around his horns and lead him home. He's got a real big barn, and he has fans in it, and I water the ground every day because it's hot this time of year, and he stays pretty comfortable. Of course, his favorite place is in the house. I go there and feed him every day. I can pour the feed in the trough. If you try to pour the feed in the trough, he'd kill you. He don't want anybody feeding him but myself and Sharon. I have let other people feed him through the fence, and he'll attack them.
RC treats Wild Thing with mutual respect, but it is RC who has to do the cleaning up.
I just got a lot of joy out of him. I got to clean his poop out of the yard every day, and you know what? I'm glad it's out there so I can clean it up, because I just enjoy him. I brush him every day. I spend more time with him than I do my wife. I'm in the pen with him when he's tearing up stuff usually. He may be throwing the canoe in the air or tearing the fences up. I stay in the pen with him. Ever since he hurt me one time pretty good, I think he knows he hurt me, and now he don't want to. And the hard part when we're filming or doing something out there and we want a video or something, I can't get close to him when he's tearing up stuff. But for the opposite reason, you think.
Woo!
If I get close to him, he's gonna quit. Because he's gonna protect me by quitting. So if I want to, Sharon's doing a video of him tearing up a fence, I got to stay back far enough that he won't quit. Because once I get in a danger zone, he shuts it down. He knows I'm his best friend because I never do anything against him. I do everything for him.
Wild Thing will be here
All his life.
all of his life.
Yeah, we'll never give up Wild Thing. He hopefully he's middle aged. He's 12 now, and he should live to be around 25 at least. I hope. And he's not going anywhere. There's no amount of money could ever buy him. He'll never be for sale.
Never.
And he would be too dangerous for anybody else to have. And one thing about the bison, there are some other trainers. There have been other trainers. I've known 4 of them killed in the last 5 years. And they kill nearly all their trainers. And he may kill me, but I hope he don't. And I sure want to protect her.
It's hard to define Tippi Hedren, the Hollywood legend and star of The Birds, Marnie, Roar, and The Countess from Hong Kong. She has been an active humanitarian, creator of a multi-million-dollar manicuring industry, and is the only actor to have worked on films with both Alfred Hitchcock and Charlie Chaplin. But her real passion is with the beauty and majesty of the big cats. Her recent biography looks into her acting career, but spends more time on her love of animals. Tippi is the founder of Shambhala, a sprawling 40-acre wild animal sanctuary a few hours north of Los Angeles. Shambhala is home to around 30 big cats.
I can't even imagine my life without these big cats. I can't even imagine it. I mean, they've given me so much. Certainly on understanding the species and totally respecting the qualities that are inborn into those beings and what is in that brain and what activates those instincts and just getting to know these animals. It's been a great honor. It's been something that we have to have done to be able to give them the life that we have given them, to be able to understand them. We can't understand everything about them. Enough to really give them a good life. There's something very, very fascinating about something of great beauty. The personality of the great cat is varied and elaborate and dangerous, and you know, they can kill you. Without even thinking twice about it. Well, I've always been in love with them, even before I even had a possibility of going to Africa. Seeing them actually in their own environment, in their own way of life and being free, and it was an astounding time.
Shambhala Reserve is not a zoo or an animal park. It was set up to take on the role of looking after animals that no longer had a home in the U.S. Some were dropped off at the gates, others have come from circuses or zoos, and many from private pet ownership. It is estimated that over 3,500 tigers alone are in private ownership in the U.S., with many of them now too large to look after.
I don't know the exact numbers of them, but I know it has diminished because people are getting smarter. I mean, with the exotic feline, you're dealing with an apex predator. You're dealing with an animal who could just as soon kill you as just walk across the room. They are extremely dangerous. They have instincts born in them that can never be removed, and they are dangerous.
Tippi Hedren knows too well the dangers. During the production of her feature film Roar, tigers and lions featured heavily in the story. This meant working closely with a number of dangerous animals, and incidents did happen.
I had seen a number of accidents caused by these animals. I was hurt. Practically all the people on our movie had some sort of an encounter with one of the animals, with a lion or a tiger. And they were going to name a wing at the Palmdale Hospital after us because we were there so much.
Melanie Griffith, Tippy's daughter, a well-known actor in her own right, was also on the set of Roar. Melanie was very used to having the big cats around, but even then, things can go wrong.
Gosh, she was leaned over. She did something. Anyway, one of the cats was a lion, and it got her right across her forehead. I just grabbed her and ran, got out the gate, and put her in the car, and we went to the doctor. And she had to have a whole, all these stitches put in her forehead. Fortunately, he did a really good job. You'd never know it. So I do know from where I speak, these are not animals that should be in somebody's home as a pet or in captivity in somebody's backyard in an 8x10 cage or, that kind of confinement. I think the American public is becoming smarter. They're becoming more aware of the fact that this is it's simply brutality to have those animals in a circus. It's not only brutal to keep the strict confinement that they're in, the treatment that they have in order to do those stupid tricks that they make them do is, it's obscene. It's horrible, and those poor animals, I'm surprised more people haven't been killed by these animals from the treatment they've had.
Shambhala is Tippy's home. She shares the 40 acres with her cats. And in the past, it was common for some of the animals to live in the house, even to the point of sleeping on the bed with her daughter, Melanie. Tigers and lions were their pets. So much so that this image of a tiger jumping through the kitchen window was not set up. It was just one of the many daily events that happen over many years of rearing the big cats. But Tippy reached the conclusion that rather than having them as pets, they should be studied and left to live their natural lives rather than be part of the household. The decision was made to stop the interaction with the animals, especially after the dangers became more noticeable.
There was a whole group of women. They were in college. They wanted to have a photograph with a tiger. And they found the tiger, and the tiger was trained to stand there and be photographed. And they all went up and had their picture taken with the tiger, and one of them went up and the tiger moved and stepped on the girl's foot, and she screamed, and the tiger jumped her. There are situations that are so frightening and so unnecessary. It never should happen. In fact, at one point I remember gathering my staff around and I said there will be no more contact with any of the animals again. Right now, it's over, it's done. And they were all really angry because they really enjoyed having that one-on-one with the animal, with the lion or the tiger. And they were smart, they knew what they were doing, but that doesn't make a difference. You're dealing with an apex predator who has the top say. They have the top word. It's a great honor to have one of these animals be your friend. To know that that animal recognizes you and likes you, but they're a weapon. They're a weapon, and they operate simply on their minds and their instincts. And you can't ever forget that. When you're not dealing with a killer, I think any kind of an animal needs to have whoever becomes the power of in a captive situation must know everything about that species, about what does that animal need, and what can I give it that they need, not what I feel like giving them. You know, oh well, I've got an 8x10 cage out in my backyard. That'll be fine. He'll fit in there. That's not enough. No, there's a great deal to know about an animal, any animal that you decide to take into your life, no matter what it is. Whether it's, you know, my little cat that just walked by, or whatever. What can I give that animal that will give him a life that he will be content? And if you look at it that way, there probably wouldn't be so many unhappy, miserable animals in captivity. I think there are a lot of people who would like to have a wild animal as a pet. You know, of course, it depends on the type of wild animal that you choose. However, if you're choosing an apex predator to become your pet, you're making a very, very big mistake. A huge mistake, because the instincts in those animals are in there. It's in their brain. And there's nothing you can do to change that. They will always be a danger. You just don't ever know when it's going to come to the foreground, and most likely you wouldn't have the strength or the knowledge of how to react to it. I mean, these animals are powerful beyond belief. I don't know, the tensile strength of these animals is one that we can't, in their greatest amount of power that they exude, there isn't any way that you could fight that, other than a bullet. I feel very, very grateful that I've been able to have this life with the big cats. I am very grateful that I have managed to become an older woman. I've still got all my limbs and I'm still walking upright, because there have been times when I was put in the hospital, because you're dealing with an entity that is so powerful and so unforgiving, and they're not good at telling you what their plans are. We feel very, very fortunate that we haven't had any serious problems with these animals. And I do not recommend anyone acquiring a lion or a tiger as a pet, for any reason. The fascinating thing about them is that you just never know. I mean, you can have 10 years of just absolute angel lion, angel tiger, and then bam. It's like playing Russian roulette.
Shambhala has its role. It is one place where lions and tigers can feel safe and cared for. Tibby Hedren has done so much for these animals. They are in captivity, but the respect shown to each and every one of them goes without saying. But the final word on owning a predator pet is a warning.
With the exotic cats, you're dealing with a serial killer.